The sound advice of the Chief Whip is that we are granting the legal team 30 minutes to conclude. 1 hour to conclude. Yeah, that is the sound advice from the Office of the Chief Whip. It is not done out of favor, but out of consciousness that due diligence has to happen. Yes, we do not want you to come during the overview of evidence and point fingers at the committee and say, when I wanted to probe the following, you said no. Can we please go ahead? Banana. Oh, you are playing it. Did not play.
Honorable Chair, we're just waiting for the recording to be. Shall we, Honorable Chair, shall we have permission to proceed in the meantime? Thank you. General Mkhwanazi, you okay?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
You're still under oath?
Yes, sir.
General Mkhwanazi, a number of witnesses came before this committee, and we will now deal with the ones we have not dealt with in your earlier evidence. We will start with Mr. Paul O'Sullivan. When he came before this committee, he testified that you do not have security clearance, and this is at paragraph 72 of his statement. Before you answer that question, General Masemola took us through the process, the vetting process, and the difficulties that SAPS deals with in trying to obtain the security clearance. However, we have to put the question to you. Do you have security clearance?
The answer is no, I still do not have.
Could you perhaps tell this committee when was the last time you had security clearance and what is the status?
Honorable Chair and members, the crime intelligence, which is part of the problems that we hear, under the leadership of Major General Khan, manages vetting section. In the vetting section, when the security clearance are done, you have to disclose everything about you. Where were you born, where you grew up, the primary school you went to, your friends, family, relatives, bank accounts, and everything about you, assets you own and so forth. It is that office that controls things. On the record, Honorable Chair, the members, my last security clearance, top secret clearance that I had expired in 2018. It expired in 2018. In 2013, I submitted an application to State Security. State Security did everything, polygraphy, everything, tick the box, but they could not issue that because there is Foster who's a IP person in KZN, who said to SSA at the time that there's a case of, I'm told, a hit squad or something like that, that happened in KZN in 2013 that I'm implicated in. I've never worked in KZN in 2013. I was working in Pretoria. So that's the reason why SSA did not issue another clearance at the time. And nobody came with a feedback. I made an application to Crime Intelligence. It's on record, this. In 2022. Today it's not finalized. Crime Intelligence, according to the file that is with the Divisional Commissioner, is that they themselves are coming up with stories. One of the stories that Sunday World wrote a story about an allegations against a case investigated by IDEC against me. They apparently confirmed with Advocate Johnson, who wrote back on an email and said, yes, indeed, IDEC is investigating. The question again, how did IDEC get to investigate stories? How did they get, who referred that thing to them? Why am I not told about it? That's one. Two, there's a case allegedly that was open in Sinoville in Pretoria, where I was accused of interfering with the investigation. And the people accused, there's Patlane's wife, I don't know who's the third person. Again, nobody have ever come to me about it. This is 22, back then. Again, there's a case open, I think in Brooklyn and Pretoria, if I'm not mistaken, of a car hijacking. I'm the suspect. When they went to check, I was not even there when it happened. So these allegations of cases that they say they cannot finalize the clearance because of these pending. I'm told that the division have written to IP more than 3 times to ask them to explain these cases. So once there's something flagged, it's a reason not to give you a clearance certificate. So that's a deliberate thing done within there. And it does not affect me alone. There's many of us. It is that office that Gerald Khan was controlling, is still controlling, that does vetting, that will make sure. That's why Paul O'Sullivan is going to know about it, being an outsider, that there's no clearance certificates because they are feeding him with that information.
Okay. Thank you, General. So General, it looks like these cases are, this issue that you have is a historical issue. It dates back to 2022 and we are now in 2026. What is the status of that case? And is there possibly anything that you could do or anybody can do to assist you with finalization of those cases? Because surely it cannot be the reason why you still don't have security clearance.
I'm not in charge of the organization, but if I was in charge of the organization, I would have removed the whole lot that is sitting in that vetting section, starting with Khan, because they are the ones. The whole file of Gerald Patlane that started that criminal investigation on the house was initiated from the files that were stolen by McBride's girlfriend from that office. So it's a dirty office. So we might want as parliamentarians to start asking yourself a question. How honest is the office of vetting in the police and many other entities? How honest that office is? Because the officials working there, you give them information, they verify, they interrogate you, they bring you for polygraphy, they throw you questions, and they satisfy themselves that you're a good person. They make recommendations. But when these things are supposed to be finalized, someone stalls it. They stole it because a Sunday World published something. They don't have to verify it. As long as they can't issue. And you write to IPID won't respond. So maybe IPID must then explain. For all these reminders, because from what I know I have no case. They just threw my name in it. So it looks like my name is just flagged. That's why even Nangi's case up there. I was part of the torture, I was part of, so they threw cases all over. That's how the system operates nowadays.
Thank you, General. The follow-up question to that is, if you don't have security clearance, are you then able to access the secret fund? That is at paragraph 73 of Mr. O'Sullivan's statement.
What does he say on the paragraph specifically?
He says that you are not permitted to access the secret fund without security clearance.
You know, Paul O'Sullivan is an old man. And I mean, as a Zulu man being cultured from the rural areas, it's not going to be a good thing to speak bad about an old person. He was fragile when I saw him sitting here. He's an old man. But the things that comes out of his mouth is problematic. Serious problematic. I'm prefacing the response to your question that how does he get to know about these things as a civil servant? That's a start. But number two, I do not work at crime intelligence. I don't get involved with secret fund at all, zero. In a matter of fact, when I was acting in 2011, 2012, the Joint Standing Committee of Intelligence only got to see me on passages. The first time I ever walked into the office here of the Joint Standing Committee of Intelligence, it's now after this whole saga of July 6th. Before that, I never interacted with them because it's not my role. It was never my role. I respected that the head of intelligence is the one that must account there. Head of intelligence is the one that must control the farms. Head of intelligence is the one who must run the operations of intelligence. I've never been involved with secret fund account. I've never done it. And I said to Jaru Kumar, maybe inviting the committee, talking to your colleagues at JCI, because he speaks about a 30 million rand worth of vehicles that were bought, and he calls it luxury cars in 2012 when I was acting. Those vehicles are the sedan, small cars that were bought for operational members. The sedan, the luxury vehicles that he mistaken with are the luxury vehicles that I collected from people that were not supposed to be driving. Generals of the police, Q5s, the late Minister Mtetwa, the ML with a wheel at the back, a whole lot of those cars. I took all those, I gave it to Task Force and TRT because they were used. Luxury cars were bought, used by people that are not supposed. Then we took the money and we bought it for the operational members on the ground. So he's been fed information, but he interprets it wrongly.
Okay, thank you, General. Just still on the secret fund, for the basis of clarity, are you able to, you've testified that you're not in crime intelligence, but is it correct that one cannot access the secret fund if they don't have clearance certificates?
I must repeat again, I don't work at crime intelligence, but I can give you the real fact of the situation that we have in the SAPS. A security clearance certificate is valid for 5 years and it expires. The rule that we currently have in the police is that the post get advertised, you apply for the post and you go for interviews, you complete that form for you to be vetted, you get appointed pending that vetting. In some instances, people start working without the vetting being finalized. In some instances, you don't work until your security clearance is issued. It depends where you're at. But after 5 years, even after you've received it, it expires. It means you must then, at least a year before, submit a new application. But because of the demand in the organization, over 100,000 members that must be vetted, the resources that crime intelligence has in terms of human resources that must conduct investigations on these applications is not enough. It's not sufficient. So that results to the expiry of the security clearance certificate. Mine expired in 2018. They cannot explain to you to date why I have not been issued with one, beside these cases. But just to process that administration process, it has taken that long because of the delays, the workload that they have. They can't keep up with it. It causes a delay. So once a person working at crime intelligence, like Gerald Khan, his vetting clearance certificates, as I'm talking to you now, have expired. But as I'm talking to you now, he's at crime intelligence. I like to believe he does have access to the secret fund account. And he's not the only one. There are many of them that their vetting have expired, but they do access. The how part, how they manage that, I'm sure JCI can explain it. I can't explain it because I'm not in that space.
Thank you very much, General. Now moving on to the last question from Mr. O'Sullivan's statement. There's an allegation that you recruited a number of young men in KZN through a man called Baba Mkhwanazi. That affidavit, that statement of one of the recruits has been made available to you for your consideration. In that it's a redacted statement, so we do not know the identity of the young man. All we know about him is that he's a young black man. He was recruited to be part of an operation that you were doing. Some of the allegations that he made was that he was taken to an unknown location to himself, where he was, they got some type of training over a 3-day period. He was paid on 2 occasions amounts of 50,000 Rand each. And finally, the third amount was 120,000 before doing any sort of work. Thirdly, they were then together with a group of other men that would have been recruited, were given police uniform, which on them do not have police rankings or identity of a police officer, but the uniform mirrored the police uniform. One of the operations that he says in his statement they had to do was in Mkhwanazi, where it was a drug operation, unarmed young teenagers were killed. And they then had to leave, but before leaving, you arrived to come and assess the situation and plant evidence. What is your comment to that allegation made by Mr. O'Sullivan?
Honorable Chair and members, as I say again, Mr. Paul O'Sullivan is an elder, but is saying a lot of wrong things. I saw that redacted statement, and we then requested from the Provincial Commission to investigate whether was there ever a case open as such. The member that commissioned that statement gave her own statement to indicate, yes, there's a gentleman that came with Paul O'Sullivan and asked for the statement to be commissioned, which she did. And from there, they left. So, but he cannot even remember the name of the person and stuff like that. That was, I don't know which day it was. He comes here and he presents this thing before you. He doesn't go to a police station to open a case, so he doesn't encourage this person to go and open a case on those allegations. What I did after that, I contacted with the station commander of Mkhwanazi to confirm these multiple matters, because there's been a lot of shooting incident that has been happening in that police station over time. And the station commander said in that month of August, there was only one multiple murder that was registered in 2024 under the case number. And it does not correspond to the story that this Paul O'Sullivan and his unknown complainant saying. So I don't want sometimes to waste energy and argue and disown things that people are making allegations on and they cannot come and confirm. Let the person who opened the case go to the police station, open the case so it can be investigated. Alternatively, you must come to this committee and present the evidence. But as the head of the police in KwaZulu-Natal, police in KwaZulu-Natal have been involved in a lot of shootings. And many people have not been happy about that. And it's not one police officer, it's not one team, but all those that have been involved are police officers. So if this person says that he was not a police officer, he was recruited, they are making up the story to try and convince the committee to believe that there's bad things happening in KZN. Similar people that will sell stories to Meriti Haas, amongst others, then make them to believe certain things. That's why to date, you hear for any action, shooting, whatever, is PKTT.
Perhaps
Those are the stories.
I'm sorry, General. You can.
No, it's fine. I'm just saying that stories have been fabricated, so there's nothing of that sort in KZN.
Okay.
You can investigate.
Perhaps what we should do is leaving aside Mr. O'Sullivan and just asking the question slightly more directly. Are you involved in operations of this nature as alleged?
Not at all.
Did you make payments of 50,000, 250,000 batches plus 120,000 to various people who were doing operations?
That's wrong. I did not.
Okay. So you have no knowledge of this, even
I don't have knowledge and I like to believe that it doesn't exist.
Okay. If we can then maybe play the clip if it's ready.
Nah, yazi mina ngibonane, and then
Hey.
I'm giving you my honest opinion, unfiltered, ne?
Yeah.
Le team yabo,
Mm.
igijima ngento ezi-wrong,
Yeah.
under the guise of this task team.
Nathi sikhona lapha
Honestly.
siyaphandwa lapha siyaphenywa lapha.
Yabona General?
Mm.
And ngiyacabanga ukuthi eNatali, I'm sure busy because this is where these things are cooked. What I find embarrassing, and you know, when I talk to people, sometimes you are complicit to crime being committed.
Yeah.
Which have been complicit because sengicala ngalo mfana lo wakakhuma lo sebenza nabo
Yeah.
ne
Yeah.
le mfana bekayi constable nini ngise-HRD ngoba warrant ngoba
Yeah.
ucaptain seka ucolonel but uhamba la kuhamba khona uLucky
Oh, ulakhe lo muphi?
uLucky uMkhwanazi.
Oh.
So at some point there was into engathi bayarelate baze bayafana futhi futhi ngathi they relate.
Oh, fana noMkhwanazi.
Yeah, kakhulu futhi. So
And uyena lo suspect ukuthi uthathe imali.
hayi ukuthi suspector uye lo uNPA ethatha imali but
Ngithumela uShabalala.
manje into engingayi-understand ne ukuthi abokhumalo like bakhuluma ngathi benza into ezi-right like mina kuthi generally ngafunda ukuthi ukuba yisilima kuyanceda yabona ngoba mawusuka ubabonisa ukuthi uyabona kula wenza khona izitha so rather abacabanga ukuthi uhleli la abacabanga ukuthi uhleli khona but it's the same young Khumalo uyo busy. I asked him the other day ngimbonise ngathi ufunani la bathi kimi ukuthi team ngathi ungacishe ngawo cishe ngathi hawu so uMkhwanazi ukuthumele ngala
Ugijima ngami lo.
so uthunyiwe because trust me at some point he was his driver ne mara ukuthi nje yela ungambona ufana noLucky at some point I can't remember wathi no ngathi bayahlobana yabona. So I understand ukuthi le team wayengakhona ukuba sorry but it is because khona udoti nje abawuphushayo that I can tell you because yini into enzima that's why ngithi mina tomorrow sibize ukuthi ama-docket if as a court there's no need for team ukuthi hlala yenzani if i-case ye-court niyabizwa niyasapuna nama-witnesses you understand niya on that day hayi ukuthi kumele lihlale ngathi nilinde.
I think uconsultant noLucky wathi no ama-docket wamalethela kimi.
But akakwazi. Angisho kune-instruction general.
Ukuthi aye kuwe.
Yes.
Yabo.
So which is why ngithi mina yabona ukuthi without ukuthi siveze ukuthi mina ngime kuphi asiyenza official ukona usibize nje uthi hayi nayi instruction general sinthumule give me feedback yabo.
Yeah, ngizombiza but angithi uzongitshela nje akunikeza i-excuse ukuthi akekho local. Or ukuphi angithi ubonile ukuthi yena siya attenda wonke umuntu uyattenda yena akaveli yena.
Ufonile nje ubalasha ama-dockets ngathi mina sonke base size khona John ukuba wathi yena hayi ucela ukuhlala e-ofisini ngathi mina kumnandi kuba ngoba wena uvunyelwe uyabona.
Yena ubusy uyazi ngokutshela babusy bagijima ngami left right and center hot monitoring bazama amafoni wami ngapha nangapha ngiyathola konke lokho yabo.
But into ebuhlungu general ne ukuthi umgodi mina ngafunda ukuthi umgodi mawugubha akungeni lo mgubhela ngena wena.
Iproblem ukuthi ngihlala nomphathi wami ungathi akazi lutho kodwa uyazi okunqinye. Ngicela ukuphendula lokho lengenayo tu.
Okay general umene tekele sharp general.
General, just for the sake of the record, who are the persons that are speaking on that clip?
It's General Sintumule and General Sibia.
If you can just summarize perhaps what is the content, the basis of their conversation?
The base of the conversation is regarding the case dockets and the investigation that the team is doing in KZN, which is PKTT. And the fact that Sintumule is in support of these dockets being moved away from KZN. He's even encouraging General Sibia to invite both her and Kumalo to the college to come and account. So she seems to be the master of why these dockets came to her, according to the conversation they're having.
Lieutenant General Sintimula came before this committee and she testified that she did not even know how the dockets arrived in Gauteng, and she did not even see them. Now, I'd like to take you to specific parts of her affidavit, just in light of what we have heard on the clip. General Sintimule was responsible for the disbandment plan that related to the dockets. And part of the plan was that the dockets had to be transferred from KZN to Gauteng. She was questioned by this committee as to, firstly, is she aware who gave the instruction for the dockets to be transferred? She testified that it was not her. She also testified that you were quite unhappy, and this can be found at paragraph 60 of her affidavit, where she says, accordingly, on 24 April 2025, I telephonically engaged Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi and requested that we arrange for the handover of the PKTT dockets to the murder and robbery unit in KZN. Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi was, however, confused by the request, as he was not aware of what I was talking about. I informed him about the disbandment of the PKTT and that one of the actions on the implementation plan was that all the dockets under investigation should be handed over to serious and violent crimes in KwaZulu-Natal. She then further stated that you declined to accept the dockets. And one of the things that you are said to have said is that waze wangimoshela ilanga, General. Are you aware of this conversation with General Sintimule? And what are your comments in relation to what we've now heard on the clip?
Yeah, well, General Sintumule did call me, and understand that they had tried to get the members under my command, to collect these dockets. And those members said, we're not taking anything, not unless the provincial commissioner tells us that. And she then contacted me, and she informed me that there are case dockets that are in Pretoria that must be brought to KZN. So I inquired, what dockets are those? And she said, it's PKTT dockets. And so I was surprised, and I asked, but how did these dockets get to Pretoria? Who are they in Pretoria? He said they're in their office. So I asked, but what are they doing there? Then he said, but don't you know, didn't they tell you that the docket, Charles Sibia gave instruction, this docket must come to Pretoria? So I was concerned. I said, no, I don't know anything about the docket. So if you take the dockets to Pretoria, then you must see how are you going to deal with those dockets, because nobody told me about dockets going to Pretoria. So subsequent to that, I then sanctioned the team that is investigating PKTT to come to my office to give me a presentation to confirm what I'm hearing. Upon confirming, I then contacted General Kumalo, I even wrote to General Kumalo to establish that you are explaining to me, General, about how it came about, but I want it in black and white. So that's how the communication officially started coming back to me. But she did tell me that. So in listening to this recording, and I'm grateful that, when there's no peace amongst thieves, you will see what you see. Because General Sibia recorded Sintumule. Otherwise, we were not going to know about this truth. And she then ran around after this recording was given to her before the EDO committee, before the Madlanga Commission. Then she ran to the National Commission, I'm told, she ran to General Kumalo to try and justify her action. She has not spoken to me to date, because she knows that she cannot approach me I guess the only time we're going to talk is when there's an investigation somewhere where I need to come and testify if there's anything that I'm involved with. But this, I brought to this ad hoc committee to show the committee that what you see might not necessarily be the truth. This is a person who came in and presented herself as a good person. But this is what she's busy with. I don't have the date when this recording happened. Maybe it was shortly after the instruction or it was prior to the instruction. But from this recording, I deduct that she knew about the letters that are written by Spear. Perhaps she might have been the author of those letters. Maybe she compiled the letters on behalf of Spear. I do not know.
Okay, perhaps maybe we can then go to the next paragraph where she says, on the 25th of April, she called the National Commissioner and informed him of your discussion and the serious reservations that you had. I remember saying to the National Commissioner that there was no way that we could disband the task team and replace it with another task team, as that would make no operational sense. The National Commissioner advised that I engage with the DNC and he must decide on what to do with the dockets. The National Commissioner testified that at some point he told the DNC that he heard that the dockets were at head office and instructed that the dockets be returned to their station of origin. I suppose when I called him to give him feedback of my conversation with Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, the National Commissioner realized that the dockets were still at head office. Hence, he said, your boss should decide what to do with those dockets. Now, listening to the clip again, and now knowing that General Sentimule and General Sibia were speaking with one voice in respect of the dockets and not necessarily what this committee was informed. What is your comment regarding General Sentimule's role in ensuring that the dockets reach the destination where they are supposed to, as instructed by the National Commissioner?
Oh, I had listened to Gerald Kumalo when he said Gerald Sentimule kept coming to his office and he will take a cell phone and take a picture of boxes that were lying in the office before the dockets came, so that she can send it to Sibia as an assurance that the dockets are here, which was a lie. That's what Kumalo told me, that she will take photos and send to Sibia. Said, no, I've fetched the dockets, because she was getting this pressure from Sibia. Subsequent to that, the dockets were delivered. So that's why I said again, Sentimule cannot be trusted. I could not trust her in 2012. That's why I removed her from crime intelligence. I cannot trust her now when she appears before these two commissions. And what surfaces after that is this recording. So it's a person that you need to trust with your own, risk your own life to trust. Otherwise, I still don't understand how she ended up being in a position that she's in the organization.
Lastly, on General Sentimule, Lieutenant General Sentimule said that in response to this clip, she was using counterintelligence. Perhaps not, it may not be in response to this clip, but in response to her attitude towards Sibia, she used counterintelligence because she realized that she was not going to get far. What is your comment to that?
That's why I'm a police officer and she's not. Because I'm a police officer, deal with facts and deal with things, not counter and make stories. So her whole career profession is intelligence. So if that what she was doing is fine, but in terms of the evidence before us on a criminal investigation, she did not disclose that what she did, which means she was part of the wrong. It's a clip that is going to make its way now to the team that is investigating the movement of this docket. She was never a suspect, but I'm now presenting to the team because it's a new evidence that we picked up that we thought she was not part of. All along, we're blaming Sibia alone, not knowing there's a player behind. So this is a person, I don't know in her statement what she gave about a profile, career in the organization, but it's a person that has been moving up and down. This side promotion, that side promotion all the time. But I don't know how she got it right. But it's one of those that maybe as we conclude here, we need to then start talking about some reforms in the organization because she arrived and she ended up being a lieutenant general heading both crime investigation currently, and forensic service, the heart of policing.
Thank you, General. I'd like to now move on to Mr. McBride's affidavit. Mr. McBride, testified that Mr. Mandla Mahlangu and Mr. Kuba, who were IPID investigators, they submitted a statement to him regarding your involvement in trying to get him out of IPID. The allegation there is that you wanted these two investigators to frame him of wrongdoing so that he can be removed from IPID. What is your comment to that?
It is false. And there are a lot of false things that Robert McBride came and presented here. One of them was that I was not even in a funeral of the late Mahlangu. So it's a story that he made up out of his own, because he just didn't see me talking in a funeral. To him, I was not there. Maybe you should ask Ms. Wakembole where I was.
Okay. Before we get to the funeral, General, because that was going to be my next question, perhaps let me give a little bit more detail regarding the statement. This offer that you made to the IPID, you allegedly made to the IPID investigators, was in exchange for a brigadier rank. If we could just deal specifically with that first before we talk about the late Mandla Mahlangu.
Okay, well, first, maybe let me start here. I don't know when date that he's talking about that I made that offer. I've said that allegations are false. There was never such. But I had heard in the process that from Mahlangu, that there was some intervention from someone from crime intelligence and on issues that they were investigating. I just cannot remember the name, but there were some interferences that were happening at the time. It might be mistaken me for that person. I'm not sure. But as far as I'm concerned, I have never interfered with anything.
Amongst the cases that you testified about, which are at IPID or IDAC, has there been a complaint regarding this very thing that we are talking about?
You know what is strange for me is that there's not even a single of any of the case where Mkhwanazi was ever invited to give a warning statement or being interviewed on anything. And these cases, they date back more than 5 years ago. The story is about the case against you, but not a single person has ever come to me and say, Mkhwanazi, give us your version. What happened here? The least I could say, I know of investigation. The only one ever that I was approached was last year when Minister Mkhunu, allegedly, according to what was in black and white on the letter from IPID, laid a complaint with IPID on a matter of Mpangeni. That was a time when IPID wrote to me to give a statement to explain myself. Before that, there was never, to date. So I can't necessarily talk about cases that I was never confronted with. I don't know. They will make stories about cases. Like many other people can make stories about cases, but nobody has ever come to me to say, there's this case against you.
Thank you, General. If we can now then deal with Mr. Mandla Mahlangu. How did you know Mr. Mahlangu?
You know, the late Mahlangu, may so rest in peace. The sad part is that we're talking about the person when he's not here. And it is a culture of the intelligence community to always make reference to the deceased because they cannot talk to for themselves. The late Mahlangu, I got to know him because of his brother. I met his brother at TUT when we were studying there, who was a brigadier in the police. So we were close with him. He was working at DPCI one stage until he left the police. So I got to know Mahlangu Mandla through him. That's how I got to know Mandla. I got to know Cedric Kabinde through Mandla because I was not necessarily friends with them. My friend was their elder brother, his elder brother, who was in the police at the time. So the incident of Mahlangu then happens. The brother is working in Mpumalanga at the time. The incident happens in a plot. I don't know the plot. I was never been in the plot. So the brother calls me and he says, my brother's been shot. He gives me the location to come and attend. He is driving from Mpumalanga coming in. I lived in Montana in Pretoria at the time. So the plot is not far from Montana. So I drove from Montana to go to the plot, to the crime scene. That's how I arrived at the crime scene. I didn't even know where the place was. Fast forward, the members of the National Intervention Unit, they assisted with the investigation of the arrest of a person that was identified to have been a shooter. The person is arrested. The members are interrogating this person, and this person tells them that we shot this one and we acted as if it's a robbery. We took this thing to a particular house somewhere here. We left it there, and according to the vehicle, we drove back to Joburg. And I was paid so much money. It's a policeman that coordinated this thing. But to date, there's nobody else been arrested on that case except the shooter. So we believe that there are people that were behind it, that hired this man from Johannesburg to come and do the job. The funeral is held. I'm in that funeral for Mr. McBride. I sat in a front seat on that funeral. But he didn't even see me. I don't know what he had in his eyes. I was in a graveyard. He didn't see me in a graveyard. I went back home after the graveyard. And I was not alone. I was there with my wife. So this is a man who talks things he doesn't know about, and he starts making allegations. I still believe today there's something behind the murder of Mahlangu. Perhaps we mustn't look too far. We must look closer to the people that he was working with at IPID. I suspect something there with those that were closer to him.
General, you are a police officer with many years' experience, and I'm not sure whether to couch what you've just said as an allegation or perhaps creating some type of suspicion. What informs that question? Perhaps you can just comment about that. Why do you say that? Why should that be probed?
It is because the information I received from the National Intervention Unit members that interrogated a killer. So, but when the investigation is done, the people that the killer were making a reference to are not arrested. The killer is arrested. I think is convicted. But the people behind it, they have not been charged to date. So I believe that it's a case, whoever that is selling the docket in Gauteng, that remain unsolved in my eyes. And that's why I'm saying I suspect the crew that was around Mahlangu all the time, whether on his private capacity or at work. So when we hear some issues that were happening at the workplace, you also start to asking question mark whether couldn't have been compromised at work. Perhaps there's a possibility there.
If we can then go to Mr. Nkabinde's statement. The ad hoc committee has heard that Mr. Nkabinde participated in meetings where the disbandment of the PKTT were discussed. What was his participation in the implementation of the disbandment plan and his relationship with the minister?
I must say, Honorable Chair and members, I was not in those meetings, so I cannot talk much about the role of Nkabinde except what I read and what I hear about. But other than that, I don't know. The relationship with the minister, I know it was as a result of a murder case that happened in KZN.
Could you expand on that? Mr. McBride testified that whilst he was at IPID, he did an intervention. He visited the minister. He was not the minister at the time, Minister Mkhwanazi, together with Mr. Cedric Nkabinde. Is that the complaint you are referring to, or are you referring to something else?
That is the one that he talks about, that the two of them went there, because that's what Nkabinde told me.
What is your comment to that?
I strongly believe, Honorable Chair and members, that there is something criminal that was hidden by IPID that might have implicated the minister. Underline my words, might have. I'm not saying it implicated him. But I believe, why do I say that? It cannot be that the police walks into your door. They come to investigate. And from there, you become friends in a manner that Nkabinde and minister are this close. From that, it's unbelievable. They are operating completely different levels. It made me believe that what made the relationship between the two of them. It's what Nkabinde told me. They became close as a result of that visit. There might have been something that might have been a cover-up. It is a murder case that involved one of the protectors of the minister when he was a premier. The person is killed. His exhibit are found. One of the exhibits is a cell phone. The cell phone is kept as a deceased property at the police station. It is alleged that a protector of the minister, another protector instructed by the minister, went to collect that phone because the phone had some evidence in it that might link other people. So he went to collect that phone. So when there was a complaint about that, it is that complaint that led to IP'd because a police officer has defeated. The case is open against the police officer, not against the minister, against the police officer. The police officer packs his bag, he ran out of the police. It disappeared because he should be charged. He goes. So when this investigation is given to IP'd meets up because they pick up that this member, when he went to fetch this place, he was told, he was tasked by the premier at the time. That's why they went to the premier to say, Premier, we are told you're the one that gave instruction. The relationship is built from there. But that case doesn't go anywhere. A police officer that had left the service, when the minister becomes a minister at public service, the minister come back into the police. He's currently working with him. You'll see him one day when he comes in.
The evidence that you gave just now, General, contradicts what the head of IPID, Mr. McBride, testified when he was here in relation to that case. His testimony, even though I'm paraphrasing now, his testimony was that they had visited, he was in KZN for something completely unrelated. And because he was already in KZN, he was asked by Mr. Nkabinde if they could go and see, at the time, Mr. Mkhunu. I think he may have been the premier or he may not have been in office, in Mpangeni at his home. But the issue was regarding his protector who had passed, and there was no progress on the investigation on the passing or on the murder of his protector. He subsequently hired a private investigator to look into the matter. And in looking into that matter, I think the Hawks may have then got involved in the matter, but it had nothing to do with a cell phone. Is this now the evidence that you are giving this committee to say, in fact, there was a cell phone which was removed and it led to a case of defeating the ends of justice? Is that what we are now, the evidence that you are leading?
Honorable members, when I was here last time, I told you about the relationship with me and Kabinde, how I got to the minister's house. Kabinde came here, he tried to twist how we got into the minister's house. I testified about knowing Kabinde and Kabinde, how he was appointed at the minister's office. I came in and testified about Kabinde, how what he had told me about the operations of IP that involves Paul O'Sullivan and Robert McBride in a house in Sentin. He came here, he confirmed that. So all the things I've been telling you is what Kabinde told me. And two of them, at least, we can say now comfortable, he said with his own mouth. What was not asked on him is about this case. This is what he told me. I was not involved in the case. I don't know the details about it. I still don't even know the case number, but that's what he told me. Because the question was, how did you become close to the minister? He said, we were investigating. And I asked, then what happened to the investigation? He said, no, we couldn't find anything wrong with the minister. But that's where the relationship started. That's what he told me with his own mouth. That led in one stage to invite me to go and meet with the minister. Later, he says we went on a boys' trip. You know what is an interesting thing, Honorable Chair members? That day he came to the house. I told him that it's late, I'm going to drive, and we drive in my car. Not my car, my wife's car. My wife's controlled the tracker in that car. How stupid can Mkhwanazi be going boys' trip with the wife's car that has got a tracker? We left, we drove there. It was late at night. I didn't have time to call the protector, so I drove myself. I had to do a tactical driving on the road getting there. The tracking device is available for this committee to download if you want. With the details of the car, the starting of the engine in Durban and Mhlanga, the switching off the engine at the minister's house at Mpangeni, the starting off the engine in Mpangeni, switching off at Mhlanga. We didn't stop on any toll gates because there's e-tag in that car. So for Kabinde to come here and try and justify that we were going somewhere and we passed at the minister is false. Tracker records would prove that. It's a car that belongs to my wife that I was driving. So it's just an indication that people would fabricate things. So Kabinde said to me, we flew with McBride, landed in Durban, and we drove to Mpangeni to see the minister. The date when they traveled probably was using a state budget. If we go on the records of IP, we should be able to get the records, whether did they travel on that day, what the state paid, the flight bookings. If McBride says he did not fly, we will be able to get evidence. So I'll invite the committee to go and investigate that. It's a record. If the state mandate was used, bookings of flights were done. And if McBride had traveled before that, he must indicate how did he travel. And to throw those records, you'll be able to get the truth.
Thank you, General. Just lastly on that point, is it common for an executive member, like the head of IPED, to visit a home of a complainant in dealing with the matter?
Well, I don't think there's anything prescribed in writing that you may or may not. So I like to believe as a head of investigation at IPED, you might have all the right to visit the home of or visit the complainant in any other place where he wants to meet with the complainant. You might assist with investigation and so forth. I don't know.
Okay. And I think my leader has taken you on this regarding Mlodja, Mr. Sergeant Mlodja, who was here, and Mr. Nangi. I don't intend to take you through that evidence. The only follow-up I have on that is regarding the house, the guest house that belongs to Sergeant Mlodja, which was burnt in Mpumalanga. In relation to that, Mr. Mlodja testified last Friday that police officers from where he lives, I just need to find the exact name, were sent over, and they did find as officials who said they were from KZN, even though they don't have the specific names of those officers, but they did confirm that they visited the home. So that's not really in dispute. And I think you also confirmed same that Sonona did tell you that his team went. What is new evidence is that DNA that was done to test the area showed that Mr. Zachariah Desai, who was the individual who was kidnapped, they found DNA, his DNA at the house. But what we also know is that the house was burnt a couple of hours after the police officers had visited. Just if you could perhaps confirm when was this DNA taken, and when were those results submitted? And are we able to find them on a docket or somewhere?
Honorable
Please guide us.
Yeah, Honorable Chair, you see me looking on the phone because I was sending the team the video footage of the house, alleged fire before and after the times there, but it looks like quite a long video. I'm not sure if they'll be able to play it for you to see. The entire investigation is done by DPCI, not me and not my team. So the feedback and update I receive, I get it from Jairus Nona. So I don't necessarily have much of the details as to what is it. My interest is, here's a kidnapped person been found, here's a perpetrator has been found. The details of how they go about, he keeps updating me on some of the things. That's why I cannot tell you, point by point, hour by hour, what was happening throughout. I can only share that which was shared with me. That's what I spoke about it earlier. So in as far as that team going there, what time did they get there? For instance, I didn't know from looking at the video, it looks like they arrived at night. What time did this guy come back into South Africa from Mozambique? And when was the date? I didn't necessarily go into details to check that. But what I know is that they came there, they left, a house burned. When you look at the video, you see police cars, although not clear because it's lights, and from the lights disappears, and later fire comes up, and later the fire subsides and the fire brigade comes in, or a medical response comes in. That's what you can see on the video. If it can be played, you'll be able to see that. But anything else surrounding that house, even the DNA, I was informed that there was a DNA discovered. What is done before or after, I don't know.
Okay.
Which part of the house burned, which one did not burn, where the DNA might have been found, I do not know.
Yeah, to be fair to you, General, you did testify that you were not present at all in Mpumalanga. I suppose the question was because of the evidence you gave that DNA was taken, but you've now confirmed that you received that information from General Sinono.
The investigation team also updated me about it.
Okay. If you could perhaps furnish us with those details. Thank you, General. Maria. Thank you, Chairperson.
Okay, it's just one or two more questions that we'd like to ask General Mkhwanazi in relation to the third directive of the minister. So I think General has covered quite a lot, and the intention was to allow the General to respond to each item of the directive. And I think the remaining item is the moratorium on crime intelligence that's also part of the memorandum. And under this particular heading, General, you've mentioned Major General Khan, and my colleague has asked you about your vetting in crime intelligence, and you've mentioned General Khan as a big obstacle, and that past and present divisional commissioners has had a challenge to get their vetting clearances. And I think it begs the question that I first would like to establish, because I think the name keeps coming up and not much has really been said about him in the ad hoc committee until I think today, really. So if you could maybe just explain to the committee what the relationship or what General Khan's role is, first of all, in crime intelligence, and then maybe also the relationship, because I think in the memorandum, what is suggested that there is a relationship that General Khan has with politicians and members of parliament. If you could also maybe just speak to that.
I said when I started earlier, honorable members, that some of our politicians, yourselves as leaders of society, you get thrown into the wrong that we do. And you get trapped into that. And you end up siding with them when they do wrong. Crime intelligence has always had this type of people that are evil, that do wrong, but they make use of the people in high position, in powerful position, to manipulate. I cite General Khan here for few reasons. One of them is that, and this is something that comes from his own mouth to me at times. Maybe before that, we have seen an amendment of regulations in the South African Police Service over time. Police regulations, employment to be specific, and ranks. To the extent that the ministers in the past changed these regulations because they were influenced by certain things. Minister Mkhwanazi, the late, went against the Constitution of the Republic, where the Constitution says there shall be commissioners in the police. By Minister Mkhwanazi at the time, introduced the rank titles of generals. We are generals today. But the Constitution doesn't call us generals, it calls us commissioners. Regulations were amended, that violates the law. That is but one example. Other ministers came after that. We know of how Minister Mkhwanazi benefited the wall that was built in his house by crime intelligence. We know the former president with a swimming pool in his house, justified by crime intelligence that it is a fire pool, amongst others. We know of the new regulations that have been published by the former Minister Mbalula, where he then says, I'm taking these powers away from the act the act that says initial commissioner must appoint. But the minister says you shall not appoint on senior management, not unless you consult me. That's what Mr. Mkhunu used to freeze this post. It's a regulation against the act. It's the powers that the minister granted themselves that do not belong to them. Because the act does not give them those powers, but they took them through the regulations. Minister Mbalula, when he first changed these regulations, he was responding to what he deemed as an abuse that was happening in the police. We had a Lieutenant General Motiba that was acting. A person who joined the service in 1991, Major General Khan, was promoted overnight to become, from a colonel, to become a major general without advertising a position, and he skipped the rank of a brigadier. There was no justification for that. So, but Motiba felt he must promote him from this rank to this rank. And Khan became a general. We are calling him general today because of that. But
sorry, Chair, if I may, apologies for interrupting you, General. May I ask just a quick question for clarity, Chair?
Yeah, I think allow him to conclude the response and you will come up because she just asked a very short question.
100%.
Yeah.
so Major General Khan get promoted by General Motiba at the time, obviously with the support of the HR. But then I think the minister was upset about that. It looks like there were some things that intelligence were doing that might have been used as a reward to Khan, which the minister was opposed to. Then the minister, through secretariat, decided to change the regulations. And from that time, we had to then go via the minister for us to fill the vacancies. Again, changes because of Khan. He had worked in different areas until this PSS division was started and he became part of it. It is there where he became closer to politicians. I'm sure majority of the people that are in the building, let me not say the African National Congress, honorable members, but the people that are within that building of the headquarters of the ANC knows Khan very well because he brags about it. He moves up and down that building. Members of EFF will come and say they know Khan very well because he's very tight with the lead of EFF. So Khan is this person who has played politics to get his way. And that's a danger that Khan brings into the picture. I said he's in charge of counterintelligence in the police. He was in charge of the vetting section where all the profiles of everyone sits. So he's a person who's been that powerful. So Khan started fighting with Khumalo, and he will come to me and complain about Khumalo. I will ask Khumalo. Khumalo will simply say, Khan's appointment is this post, which is support. The only thing I'm asking him to do is to go back to his post. He doesn't want to, because Gerald Jacobs had moved him, or before that, he had moved him away from there to counterintelligence. Counterintelligence is where activities are happening. And he wants to stay there because that's where the investigation of these hijacking, kidnappings, drugs are happening. So he wants to be there. But the fight with Khumalo is only about the position. That he doesn't want to be here, he wants to be there. So Khan remains a person that causes a lot of issues to date at crime intelligence. In the past, it was not him. There were many others. But at this present moment, it is him, the key player. And we believe it is Khan that influenced IDEC to behave in the manner they behave. Yes, others might have come in. For your information, at one stage, Khan, if I'm not mistaken, no, not Khan. Someone presented here that Atis Mokhoti, who said, I had myself and Gerald Cele facilitated a tender for one company in KZN to be issued tender, and that is Magma Security. That's when I realized, after reading that, and I said, okay, now it's clear. Mokhoti is just an information peddler. He gets told by Kat about our meeting, but he thinks the meeting is in the Provincial Commissioner's house. He doesn't know where the meeting is. He claimed to have been following Matlala for that. He hears things about this, he claims it's his. He hears things about Thabo Bester, for instance. He claimed he was part of the Thabo Bester. So he claims a lot of things, Mokhoti. One of the things he claims is this one of Magma Security. Then when I saw that, beside me having received WhatsApp messages from Mkhwanazi on discussions of crime intelligence, that only person within crime intelligence can share that, Mkhwanazi writing to me and say, Khan is going to update me. It became clear that Khan is a big player in crime intelligence. Now I know him and the Inspector General are very tight. Now come Khan here, I was talking about the issue of magma security as an example. I'm going to wrap up quickly. When I arrived in KZN to come and act in 2018, I did not know magma security. Khan introduced me to magma security. And when I met with magma security, and he was breaking about what they're doing, that they are helping with CIT cases and many other cases in the country. And I happened to see ex-police officers that are now working for this magma security. And when I arrived there, Places Layer was in the news, a lot of murders. Magma security showed me the whole chart of the syndicate that's operating Places Layer. We're able to deal with those criminals thanks to that magma security. So I built a relationship with that magma security from that day. Now Khan knows their capabilities. He knows what they're capable of doing. So I believe, thinks that a lot of things maybe that are happening are assisted by magma security. They are a good team. I must say, sometimes they provide information more than what I get from intelligence. And being a private sector, it is Khan that is introducing. So in intelligence on almost everything happening in their intelligence, Khan is in a center. So I was trying to indicate that the regulations are changed, it's Khan. The member of parliament, Mr. Adams, runs around all these other places to open cases. He said to you here, he decided to go to Soweto because he loves Soweto. Soweto is hundreds of kilometers away from both airports, Lanzera or Tambo. He had no reason to say he's going to Soweto. I can tell you. He went to Orlando because there is a member of crime intelligence in Orlando that works with Khan, that walked with him to a police station to go and open a case. One of the ROC members, the member that is in the list of the people that Ket Matlala paid for to come to the January 8th statement. As we see the evidence from Matlala's bill that Mkhwanazi gave him, he said, these are the people who must book their flights. That Kennel is in that list. And it's a Kennel that works with Khan like this. And it's no mistake, I'm presiding over a case against Khan of drugs and Gauteng. In that case, I cleared him because the people that were wrong, that arrived there, that I felt that the organization should have dealt with, they were not dealt with, but they were dealing with Khan. But what was strange in the testimony is that, Honorable Chair, a member of Flying Squad in Soweto, after learning of what's happening in Eratin, that member decided to phone Khan to come to the scene. Khan arrived in the scene being mobilized by a member from Flying Squad who works in Joburg. Why did that member choose Khan of all the people to come and attend the drug issues? I said to you, and I'm saying it again, big consignment of drugs were found there. Khan left it with the PCI. The question remains, did all those drugs arrive at forensic? Were all those drugs destroyed? The modus operandi can tell you. Don't steal on the crime scene. Take it. En route to forensic, we swap it. When it gets there, it's diluted, and the forensic analyst will test only 10% of it. So you might be clear-headed of not having done wrong, but you know you're going to benefit out of this same thing. So in all what is happening that we see nowadays, honorable members, information lending with honorable members from crime intelligence, it comes from that office that still has Gerald Khan in the mix. I don't know why it does not have a security clearance. You asked me earlier. It still doesn't have, but it's there. So it's majority of the things that I feel, the not filling of the vacancies directive of the minister, it is because Khan wants to dictate who must control where. Because these are senior positions of crime intelligence. If they are filled by Kumalo, they won't have control over them.
I just have one last question on Khan, because we've seen Khan's name come up
Can
in.
we take the follow-up from Honorable Cameron?
Thank you, Chair.
Sorry, Advocate. Apologies, Chair. I'll be very quick. The first one, just for the record, General, you said it was Major General Khan that was promoted overnight. Was there wasn't there another one? They were both promoted overnight, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not 100% sure, but what I know, what angered the minister Mbalula at the time, Khan's name was the one that popped up. I don't know who else might have been promoted at the time, but I'm
And-
sure the organization can provide that information.
And well, I can qualify it with both General Khan and General Moodley. What was their relationship with Richard Mdluli at the time?
Honorable Chair and members, I cannot tell. Khan at the time was junior, the time of Moodley, but Moodley was a general already in KZN, the time of Moodley. So at the time of Mdluli. So I really don't know the relationship, but what I became aware of is that they were operating in opposite directions.
Okay.
They were in different camps, the two of them. They didn't get along very well. I don't know now whether they are colluding somehow, but from what I heard is that they were in different camps.
Thank you, Chair.
My closing question, Chair.
Yeah, it must be the last.
Yes, Chair. General, you mentioned Khan's disciplinary hearing, and we've heard it from Mr. Adams. Honorable Adams has spoken about General Khan's disciplinary hearings. We've heard it from Brown Mkhwanazi as well, and we've seen in the WhatsApp chats that Mkhwanazi and Matlala were also talking about General Khan, and there was reference that money should be asked from Khan. Are you aware of a relationship between General Khan, Mr. Mkhwanazi, Mr. Matlala, and to a certain extent, Honorable Adams? I mean, he mentioned, and I don't know if he just happened to have known about the disciplinary hearing or whether he has a certain relationship with General Khan.
Look, in the relationship between Khan and Mkhwanazi, other than the messages that Mkhwanazi gave me, sent to me, which in some of those messages, he had presentation of classified information from crime intelligence, where crime intelligence were presenting their policies. So he took a screenshot, or there was a screenshot taken from there and was sent to Mkhwanazi. Mkhwanazi then sent it to me, that screenshot. When I asked him more details about that, Mkhwanazi told me that Khan will brief me. So that's how I got to know that means Mkhwanazi and Khan are in talks. Other than that, I don't know much about their relationship. The other relationship, but again, this one is suspicion, it's not confirmed with anything other than what the Chief of Staff, Kabinde, told me. He said, Khan has been trying to get to the minister, but he has not been allowing him. But Khan found a way of using Mkhwanazi to get to the minister. That was when I asked Kabinde, who is Mkhwanazi? And then Kabinde told me, no, he's a person who's close to the minister. That's how Khan got into the minister through Mkhwanazi. So that's all what I heard about the relationship. Between Ket Matlala and Khan, I don't know anything except what I heard from Mkhwanazi, from Matlala himself, saying that he used to give Khan money as well. But Khan was demanding money. He was not just giving him because he didn't done something to him. He was always demanding money, that he must give him money. But again, it came from Matlala. I cannot necessarily come and be 100% sure about that. The Khan and, you said it's Mkhwanazi and Khan and?
I asked about Honorable Adams.
Or Honorable Adams.
Yeah, because you've mentioned him here.
What I know between Mr. Khan and Honorable Adams is that where we connected first was this case open in Orlando. That's where we connected. And we connected Mr. Adams with Mkhwanazi because the person that Mr. Adams went to see in Orlando is the same person that Mkhwanazi flew down here. That's where we connected them. But beyond that, is the visits that have been happening at the Inspector General of Intelligence by Mr. Adams and Khan visiting there. That's how we got to know the relationship between the two of them. Those are the relationship that I could confirm that I know of between them. Other than that, Honorable Chair members, there will be a lot of connection from members of crime intelligence with other players that might be associated with Mr. Adams. I made mention earlier of Mr. Adams having traveled to KZN, the facilitation and the whole trip, how it came about. It involves people from this intelligence community and the police.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. The person that you must thank is the Chief Whip behind you. Because you know that before he arrived, the honorable members have said that you must wrap up at 1:30. So he was, through the charm of his office, he was able to convince honorable members to allow you to the time that you had earlier requested, between 3:30 and 16 hours. We have now come to the end of presentation of evidence. We are going to take just over 10 minutes break and come back at 15:30. The members of the committee are going to stand in front there for a photo session just outside this building. And when they have taken their photos as a committee, they will be joined by everybody who wants to be part of this memory. Can we immediately stand up and go to the place that the chair is directing you to? I'm saying this because I'm looking at you, how you are dressed today. I see that if there is any valuable award we can give you, is to take a group photo. You must have a sense of occasion. You don't have to be told by anybody. You must just have a sense of occasion. Honorable members, we must proceed. We must proceed, and we are going to proceed this way. When we take the next break at because we are going to take the next break at 5, and the other break will be at 7 or 7:30. When we break at 5, the support staff of Parliament and your support staff from caucuses have raised a grievance with me that honorable members have taken pictures that exclude them. And they are the ones who support you every day. They are the ones who make you. And they further said that they even suggested how you must come dressed today. And so now you disappointed them because you just stood there for a minute and you left. So I said I will come and plead on their behalf, and I see that all of you are agreeing that at 5 o'clock we must go and correct that mistake. Thank you so much. We are going to allocate every speaker, the full-time speakers, full-time members, 30 minutes. And we have said that if there is an overlap, it may not go beyond 45 minutes. We are allocating we're allocating alternates between 20 minutes and 25 minutes. Can I get an indication who is starting in the African National Congress? Honorable Ngola.
Thank you very much,
Yeah, it's
Chairperson.
now 15:33.
Thank you very much.
You
Chair.
will start at 15:35 and your time will expire at 5 minutes after 16 hours.
Thank you very much, Chair. General Mkhwanazi, good afternoon.
Sabona.
Do you love to park?
Second,
Do you love to park?
do I love to park?
Yeah,
Yes, I do.
you do.
Yeah.
Why did you send General Spear a song that says we'll kill them at night whilst they are sleeping?
I did not send it to Sbe.
Isn't it too?
It
Should
is
be.
now me understanding that the person whom I had sent that song to was Sergeant Kosi. Sergeant Kosi sent it to both
No.
Steve Mutsume and Spear.
Sergeant Gose says you sent him a song that says last motherfucker standing. Breathing, sorry. Then the other one you sent either to Shibiri or Spear, I don't know, but the Spear was complaining about it. That you send people midnight songs that you'll kill them at night while they are still sleeping.
No, I did not. He can show you his phone. I did not communicate with Spear and send him anything. So
But you
he
did send
might
the
be reading something from somewhere. What I believe he might have read or listened to the song that I sent to Nkosi, because Nkosi looks like Nkosi did send it to him.
Okay. No, that was in passing.
Yeah, he's a good artist. He was a good artist.
Chair, I think in respect of what the general has submitted relating to what would be seen as an affidavit handwritten by him. My worry firstly is that it looks like it will be hard for us to question the general around the contents of that affidavit on the basis that he does confirm that he got it from someone else who gave it to someone else who took it from someone else, and he can't surely verify or confirm the contents that are contained in that affidavit. And if you check the nature of the affidavit, Chair, it's an affidavit that has not been commissioned. It's handwritten. It has not been commissioned. Yes, there is a signature at page, I think page 8 at the end of that affidavit. And looking at the contents, Chair, it contains a lot of serious big allegations against a number of people who are presiding actually over a number of institutions of government. So I would suggest, Chair, that we first seek for a confirmatory affidavit from this prime person, and two, we request the National Commissioner of Correctional Services to confirm in detail to us if there are people who would have been at Hosimaburu Correctional Center who requested to see Mr. Prim in relation to this matter. Do they have in their record any form of visit to Mr. Matlala on the 9th or 10th of September 2025? Because the allegation contained is that it's the lawyers of the minister who went and to see Mr. Matlala in a way of trying to do some affidavit. I'm sure the affidavit was meant for the appearance, according to the allegation, was meant for the appearance of Mr. Matlala before the committee. So I think, Chair, from where I'm seated, was he himself will find it difficult to confirm some of the contents in respect of that affidavit. Moving forward, Chair, I want us to go back, General, to the Mlochwa issue. The evidence leader did ask some of the questions.
Before you go ahead, must just concretize this and make sure or ascertain that the request that you place on record here has been captured by the Secretariat. Because I did. When you were still out, the honorable member has placed a request on record for some information to be requested from correctional services. Okay. But I just wanted to make sure that that the request is recorded, honorable member. You can proceed.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you. That is confirmed. So, Mr. Mlochwa, General alleges that you unlawfully arrested and detained him on the borders of Mozambique without any form of a warrant, whether it's a search and seizure warrant or a warrant of arrest. He says to this committee, you called, or when I'm saying you, I mean you, maybe you or one amongst your team, called the authorities in Mozambique that he must be delivered to you at the border. So he was made to walk across the border through barefoot, being transferred from the Mozambique authorities to your team. And when he was in Mozambique on the basis of working as part of his business operations. What's your comment on that?
Yeah, well, I cannot confirm in terms of how in details he was arrested. What I know is that when they conducted the departmental investigation at his workplace, they had to confirm his legal status in Mozambique. And it was confirmed that the man was in Mozambique illegally. The Border Management Agency submitted a statement where they confirmed they don't have his records crossing the border. The police in Mozambique participated in assisting with that investigation. They engaged with the office, South African High Commission office in Mozambique to help bring the person back. And as a result, the South African High Commission that side issued a temporary passport, one-way transport, for him to be brought back into South Africa. So how did he get to Mozambique? I'm told by the team that they say he was running away with a victim. They took him to Mozambique. That's why he did not clear at customs. So if he was on business, he would have stamped his passport to go across. He came here and he said his passport was taken. But for me, the passport is not the issue. The issue was the authorities that are responsible for stamping the passport, they register you in the system. His name doesn't appear there. So which means, indeed, he did not cross legally.
Okay. He played a video of you here in relation to the burning of his house. And he says it is not true that the house was burnt by the community. You guys are doing a cover up. The police or whoever was working with the police at the time, including a private individual who's a brother to the alleged person who has been kidnapped, connived and did a cover up, burned the house and said the house was burnt by the community. And he actually brought an affidavit, handwritten affidavit, that he claimed was from the ward councillor. Are you aware of that?
No, I'm not aware. However, I saw the videos that were played before this at the committee. I watched them.
Okay. So he says also, there is a shop just across, close to the property that was burnt. And the police there's a camera in that shop. So police went to the owner of that shop and paid 2,000 rands for them to get the footage and destroy it. What is your knowledge about that?
I have the footage from that shop given by the same police that he alleges they destroyed.
Do you know about the 2,000?
No, I don't know about the 2,000, but I know about the footage and I shared it with the evidence leaders. It's a footage that I was saying that we can flight it here if you so wish. If the team investigated and destroyed it, why did they share that with me? Because they claim that it is part of their case.
Okay. He also alleges that you, amongst the people who drove them to a farm, tortured them, made them strip naked, made mockery of them. And he said, your attendance in the torturing was confirmed by his co-accused. That someone who was in the room or in the house or wherever it was in the farm said, because his eyes were wrapped up. So someone said to the co-accused, please tell your co-accused who has arrived. And that person said, is the Provincial Commissioner of SAPS, General Mkhwanazi, who has arrived in the scene where they were tortured. What's your comment on it?
Well, there's a total lie. What I'm glad is that if there is a case open to investigate, it will uncover those things. Because from what I was told is that I was implicated to be with the team the entire period, not only in one era. From what I gathered, that I was in the burning of the house, and I was in the arrest in Joburg and every other place. But as I said earlier, the case is investigated by DPCI. DPCI. So I don't know the details, the date when they came in, how they booked them in and out of the correctional facilities, and what did they do after that? I don't have the details.
So okay, that's fine. I think let's pass this. Okay, the issue relating to. He says he is a co-complainant in the Nengi case that I paid against you. Are you aware of that?
That's what I was told, that all three of them that were arrested, they opened a case. That's what I was informed by Jerusalem. So I have not seen a docket, neither engaged with the investigating office. So I don't even know who the complaint is, except what Jerusalem told me.
Yeah, he also says he got a confirmation from Nengi that you sent Matlala to speak on your behalf that the complaint must be withdrawn.
Honorable member, what I can confirm, what I can tell you is that there is an allegation that the Nangi story was discussed at the meeting at Umhlanga. I've presented before this committee that the Nangi story is Nona that told me about how he and Ket Matlala communicated with Nangi. So if Nangi beyond that shared the message with that member about it, that indeed there's something that Matlala was talking to him about, it's up to them. I don't know. I don't know what's the story. Like I say, I've never been consulted about that case, so I don't know anything about it. To say there's a case, a story, well, the details of it, I don't even know the case number sitting in.
Okay. Who is Mr. Mutsumi?
It's $1 million question. Honorable Member. I'm glad you're asking that question because Jaharasi Nona, who was in a meeting with me in Matlala when they told me about Mr. Mutsumi, the Mutsumi's property, the location and everything, and how he and Sbia operate, they were afraid to read the name. He was afraid to read the name when he appeared at Matlanga Commission. And that made me realize that when they were afraid, at the time when they were telling me that I must not disclose that, and eventually when it had to be disclosed at Matlanga, they were worried. We listened to the evidence at Matlanga, how the name of Mutsumi keeps coming up. We hear from even Nkosi as was testifying, how the name of Mutsumi. This morning I spoke to Nkosi, he phoned me. I asked him, I said, who is this Mutsumi? Why do you share my details to Mutsumi? What is of an interest? Mutsumi was mentioned by Kat at Mkhwanazi. To me, it seems like Mutsumi is a big player. I then engaged, of course, after hearing them with the team in Gauteng investigating. So I don't want to give details about that, but his name is somewhere in the mix and very prominent for that matter.
So one would be justified to quickly make an assumption that he may be part of the big five cartel you're speaking about on the 6th of July.
What I can tell you that Mutsumi seems to be a powerful person within the police and outside the police. Very powerful.
But not in the employ of the police.
When I'm talking about the police, the stories are saying that it looks like there's some influence on appointments of the head of DPCIs in different provinces.
It looks like he is the one who may have expanded or extended the capture amongst police, senior police officials.
Yeah, well, his name, the way it comes out, and when you see the media not profiling the person and putting him out there, it just tells you the extent of perhaps the influence that the person has in our country, that even the big trusted journalists don't talk about.
Okay. Let's now pass and talk about your reporting line as the provincial commissioner. Who is your immediate boss?
General Masimula.
General Masimula.
That's correct.
General Sbia alleges that in terms of the structural arrangement at SAPS, you are supposed to be reporting to him, and that's not the case. He makes it appear that you're supposed to report, but defiantly, you are not reporting to him.
No, I do not report to any of the generals in the police except the national commissioner. Neither any of the provincial commissioners report to anyone else except the national commissioner.
Okay. Let's take it back to the meeting between a police official and a criminal, as you call it. General Spear testified that the meeting was successful to an extent that the mediation was signaled to be successful by the gesture that you even shook hands there at the meeting.
Honorable Chair and members, what I can indicate on the meeting, when the minister started introducing the purpose of what the meeting is about, the question I asked the minister was, Minister, you are calling this meeting few months after we hosted the Interpol police chiefs in KwaZulu-Natal in Durban when they came to celebrate the police day with us in January. You are now a few months later inviting us to come and forge a peace between me and Sbia. The Sbia that I was hosting in KZN in January, sitting, I even took him on an excursion on a boat, sitting with him next to the boat to give him comfort in the water, enjoying the refreshments that was provided. He was talking to me, all was good. For every other meetings that we meet at the POC, we talk. Sergeant Nkosi, kept coming to me and said he wants to arrange a meeting between me and Sbia. Sbia is asking to meet with me. So I kept asking Nkosi, I said, what is it with Sbia? Because I go to the meetings in Pretoria. We interact there in the meeting. Why doesn't he tell me what he wants to tell me if there's something? So I did not understand what is this peace talk about. So because it was proven in that meeting that it's not clear as to what the fight is about. So that means we must go back and work as we're supposed to be working. So that's how the meeting ended. But I learned later that Minister Mkhulu did good to Sbia about the meeting. Actually, the meeting was supposed to be engaged by Minister Cele before. Because Sbia had approached Minister Cele and Sbia had approached the National Commission to arrange the same. But the reason I'm told that Cele and the National Commission did not do that meeting is because of Sintumule, who told them that Sbia told him that Mr. Balula from the EFF is the one who he spoke to organize the meeting.
Balula from the EFF.
Mr. Mbalula from EFF? Oh, sorry, yes, Mr. Oh, yes. Malema from EFF. I'm bad with these mixing up of names. My apologies. Mr. Julius Malema from EFF was going to
I have a problem with names today. You always twist them around.
Mr. Julius Malema, these allegations. Mr. Julius Malema, Sbia has spoken to Julius Malema to arrange a meeting between me and Sbia. So there's no need for the Minister Mcele and the National Commission to arrange. So this I hear from the National Commission. Why do I say this, Honorable Chair? Is that after Sbia testified before the Madlanga Commission, Sbia says to the Commission, I recorded Sintumule because the National Commission had confronted me about what Sintumule told him that I said. And as a result, Sbia felt that he must record Sintumule. Hence the recording we're listening to here. That was Sbia justifying why he recorded Sintumule. So when I asked the National Commission, I said, Sbia is saying this, is it true? The National Commission said, yes, it's true. We were sitting in a police jet. And Sintumule told both, I don't know how the conversation came about, but he told both Cele and the National Commission, he said, no, Sbia he said he's sorted, he has asked Julius to help him to set up a meeting between himself and Jerome Mkhwanazi. So maybe there's no need for you. That's when the Minister Cele and the National Commission said, we're no longer going to be part of that. So I then discovered that means this peace talk was not starting with Minister Mkhulu. It's something that should have been done back then, was not done. But then in my own analysis, where this peace talk come from, in the main, I think it comes from the fight that we had over the AKA matter. That investigation of AKA, which Sbia wanted to interfere with. I suspect, I don't know the reason for that. But subsequent to that, I believe that the other things happened in Gauteng, and he felt that maybe I'm stronger closer to Gerald Khumalo and the other people. Perhaps to have him getting things done, he must come through me. I don't know.
Did you shake hands?
Well, I cannot remember whether we shook hands on the day, but we spoke.
You smoke a peace pipe.
Not peace pipe, we spoke.
Do you consider General Sbia a criminal?
From the evidence that I had picked up before the July 6th and what I've heard now, what Matlala told me about him is true.
And you still maintain that there can never be peace between you as a police officer and him because he's a criminal?
Well, there was, at the time I made a statement of peace between a police officer and a criminal, not necessarily saying Sbia per se. I can tell you now that there cannot be peace between me and Gerald Sbia.
Okay. Now let's take matters to the PKTT.
Yes, sir.
Amongst issues that were testified here by both the minister and General Sbia was that amongst a lot of reason that has led to the directive of the 31st of December is a work study of 2019 that has enlightened the department to do away mostly with non-permanent structures. Hence, it led to the dissolution of the PKT team. Are you aware of the work study?
When the minister came to display it here before the ad hoc committee, but as a senior manager in the police, I was never briefed about that work study.
Okay. Then amongst other things is the fact that it became too costly to run the PKT team. And amongst issues that were cost drivers was issues relating to overtimes, issues relating to subsistence and travel, issues relating to laundry, even laundry, issues relating to accommodation for members of the PKT team. Would you agree with such assertions?
Allegations were made and they've been disputed by the Chief Financial Officer of the South African Police Service that appeared before you. So it is not true.
Okay. Now, part of what would have been testified before the committee is that this thing of some senior SAPS top management members appearing surprised with the 31st December letter is actually a fiction, because there would have been numerous meetings that sat between the ministry and the top management of SAPS, who actually worked towards a plan for the dissolution of the political killings task team. So have you been part of those meetings? If not, are you aware of such meetings and all that?
Well, I was never in any of the meeting that sat and discussed the dissolution of the task team. Hence my effort to try and reach out to the minister in January as soon as I learned of the letter, which was not successful. I've been in the meetings where the minister has been chairing. One significant meeting that drew my attention, and I started because of the past experience, where I started questioning the motive behind, was a meeting that was held in Pretoria at Kivitsgrond. That meeting, when it was sanctioned, I think it was a Friday in November somewhere, 21, if I'm not mistaken, the date. I was in KZN with the Minister of Public Works. There was a event there at ICC. The minister was there. When that meeting ended, the minister then spoke about this meeting that it was going to be in Pretoria. And I told him I'm not going to attend. And he pleaded with me that I must come. And I said, no, but I need to be in engagement in Pietermaritzburg. Then I cannot go there. I was summoned to be in Maritzburg. Otherwise, I'm going to have a problem. So he then asked me to negotiate with those people not to attend. And I still said to him, but minister, you want all the generals there, but the two generals are in China. And I think they're coming back on Thursday or Friday. They won't be able to attend the meeting. Then he says, no, well, he's going to check. And he came back to me and said, yeah, no. The two generals are landing on Thursday, and on Friday, they're going to be there in the meeting. So I then also got a permission to be excused in the meeting I was supposed to attend. I went to Pretoria because all the generals and the police were invited. So we went to Kivitsgrond. The surprise that happened at Kivitsgrond is that other generals were there where the minister was there. When General Khumalo walked in, next thing the instruction was all those generals from head office are not needed in that meeting. They were excused. He is one of them. They had left their offices, canceled their diaries because of this invitation. When they arrived there, I think because of the presence of Khumalo, things changed. So they were all kicked out. It was only the minister, the national his deputy, the national commissioner, head of DPCI, ourselves as provincial commissioners, and the deputies that were there. Only. But what was discussed in the meeting that was of concern? We were given a lecture by Vusi Pikoli, who's a legal advisor of the minister. He gave us a lecture about the Constitution, about the Act, that we, for the past 30 years, we've been enforcing. He was lecturing us about it. The powers of the minister, this. Because I had been part of these transitions in the police over time, I could tell that something is coming. I concluded that something is coming out of this. And I'm going to invite the ad hoc committee to invite the DG, the Director General, who's responsible legally that you have created a structure of government to oversee and guide the Minister of Police in the writing thing. And there's a DG at the Civilian Secretariat. Mr. Sboy, in all what you're talking about, there is no DG in part being involved, being consulted, being engaged, advice that he gives. There's nothing. But you go to the Police Act, you find the Civilian Secretariat supposed to do a certain functions. Minister has not been engaged in them, including the letter of December. That DG doesn't know about the letter. And yet legally is appointed to give this advice to the minister. But the only person was directing the minister was Advocate Pikoli. So that lecture, that meeting indicated to me there's something coming. But beyond that meeting, I don't know, up until eventually the letter came out, which itself was not sent to me.
So the lecture did not indicate that it's preparing for the dissolution of task teams or a task team.
No, it didn't. The emphasis on that letter was to remind us about the powers of the minister. That was the point that we were driving. The minister has the powers. The section of the Constitution gives the minister powers. This is the powers of the minister. These are powers of the minister. So at all time, that was a message that was cutting across. That's why I could conclude that I was the senior manager in the police from 2012, or from 2011, actually. So I've seen it all. I could read that something big is coming out of this, although I did not know what it is. So later, when the letter came out, I then started wondering that could it be the build-up to this?
So you're also not part of the 1st November and the 22nd November 2024 meetings?
No, I was not there.
You're also not part of the meetings that were dealing with the organizational structure of SAPS?
Honorable Chair and members, the disease that we have in the South African Police Service, again, is that the Police Act gives the powers to the National Commission to organize the service, not the minister. So for the minister coming here and say he was part of the structural thing, he gives himself powers that he doesn't have. So the discussion they were having, I was not part of. And I'm sure all the provincial commissioners that are there in terms of the Constitution, they were not invited to be part of it. The only engagement we've ever had regarding the new structure, which the minister was referring to, is when we invited in Pretoria the Board of Commissioners. The person who was presiding over the meeting was Gerald Musikiti, if I'm not mistaken, with CB sitting on the high table. The rest of us were in that conference. What was presented in that meeting was the new structure. A new structure that my comment was, we cannot just keep on restructuring without applying our minds. You created division because you want to please someone. A lieutenant general, you're going to pay 2 million rand salary plus the vehicles that you must have, plus the staff in the office. The cost of one lieutenant general, it's a lot of money. So you can't keep on creating structures, blocks that are not well informed. So that was engagement. I'm sure you can find minutes of that. That is the only time where we engage on the structure. But we said, in any way, we are talking about the structure, the only National Commission has the powers. The structure presented to us is already signed. So we are just discussing after the fact. We can't do anything about it. So what led into that structure being the blocks is put and the National Commission signing was preceded by a meeting with the minister, we were not part of it, at least provincial commissioners, I can speak on their behalf.
Okay. Now, the evidence leader asked you about a funeral of Mandla, whom you regarded as your friend and a brother. Were you very close to Mr. Mandla Mahlangu?
I was not very close to Mandla Mahlangu, but I was close to his brother, his elder brother. I happened then to get to know Mandla, but to the extent that we can say we're close, not much.
Were you the first?
When I, for a typical example, when I go to a soccer stadium, I'll go with his brother, not him.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's not a person that I was having that relationship, but I knew him because of his brother.
Were you the first one or amongst the first people who arrived at the crime scene when he was shot dead?
I will not remember exactly who was there, but to the extent that the brother called me to go to the crime scene, so someone might have witnessed the murder and contacted the brother. And for me to travel from Montana to get to that plot, surely there might have been people in there. I cannot remember because it's not what is in my head. But definitely there will have been people in there. But who it was, What I know, his brother was not there because he's the one who asked me to come to early.
But do you understand this insinuation in that statement, without having been expressly said, is that it may happen that you'd have known about that prior it happened, hence you were amongst the first people, if not the first person to arrive at the crime scene. And it goes further when it is testified by Mr. McBride that time Mkhwanazi was even in HR. So an insinuation that people would have been expected to arrive earlier are the police officers on duty in preventing crime. So do you understand that kind of insinuation?
Definitely. Definitely. I do understand. I think that's why I kept on saying, honorable members, that I think that case needs to be started afresh. There are things that are not being brought into the open about that case. I don't believe that everything that was done to close that case was justified. That case might need to be reopened. Some things that are hidden in that docket. I'm grateful for the fact that, as we say, I was at HR and other places, minding my business in Montana. The person that mobilized me to get there is a brother. Had he not called me and give me the location, I would not have gone there. Even his house, Mandla Mahlangu, where eventually I ended up, was his brother that took me to the house. Because otherwise I did not know. I was always meeting him at the brother's house in Central. That's where I was always meeting him, not where Mandla's house was. So Mr. McBride making an insinuation that goes all the way to me not attending the funeral. At least from my side, the brother knows everything and he was there and he saw me, not even me alone, with my wife there. So that's the advantage that at least I have. So for the fact that he's making those statements, it makes me suspect that perhaps Mandla Mahlangu's murder might involve people that he was close to.
Another insinuation in respect to Mandla Mahlangu's murder is that Mandla Mahlangu deposed an affidavit to IPD that implicates you of having a hand in trying to sabotage the case against General Pahlan. And he was later after that killed. Another insinuation in this assertion, which was also said by Mr. McBride, is that there would have been a dialectical relationship between the deponent or the statement deposed to IPD against you and the murder of Mandla Mahlangu. Do you understand that insinuation as well?
I do very well.
What is your take on it?
Well, the question is why to date Mkhwanazi has never even at least been brought to be questioned about that by a person who claims to have led the investigation and is still part of the security cluster. Why to date he has never been caught? So for what he's saying, if there was a statement, might have been fabricated. If there is a statement, perhaps there's not even a statement for that matter. But it doesn't surprise me because one, I get the information now about why Crime Intelligence is not finalizing my security clearance. One of the things I mentioned in that reason is that there is a case docket open in Pretoria against Pahlan and his wife and someone else, where I'm implicated in it. It is that docket that makes Crime Intelligence not to issue me with a security clearance. That is many years back. To date, nobody has ever come to me to ask me questions. So it might have been maybe the case does exist, maybe there was a statement in there that was fabricated, but I've never been involved with anything on Patlane. Patlane was the acting national commissioner at the time. He became my boss. But other than that, we will only meet at the gym in Montana. That's all I knew about him. No other relationship.
Lastly, did you submit the video or the record of your meeting with Mr. Matlala and General Senona to the evidence leaders?
No, I did not.
Can you please assist us with that?
I will have to speak to the investigation team because when we conducted that, it was part of the criminal investigations that we're busy with.
Okay, noted. Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much. I will allow my colleagues to pursue where I might have left. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
See, I'm disciplined.
You have used extra 5 minutes. Kuse, do you want to come now or later?
No, I'm deploying the Secretary General of Mkhwanazi Party.
Honorable Nomvalo,
Yeah, no, I accept the deployment.
the new
I'm accepting.
Secretary General from
Yes, Chair.
from the box.
Yes, Chair.
Remember now when you speak, you no longer speak as an ordinary honorable member.
Ah, Chair, no. Don't do that to me, please.
You speak as
Don't do that,
you
Chair.
speak as leadership. And
Don't-
what we want to see from you is the leadership argument.
Don't patronize me, Chair. Good afternoon, General.
Mhlonishwa.
Maybe let me, before I go further with my questions, do what my colleague here has been doing since we started, Honorable Souls. When we had an altercation with him, I accused him of doing motivations and reading scriptures for witnesses instead of asking them questions. But today, I think I must do what he did or what he has been doing. I think, General, for the bravery that you displayed on the 6th of July last year, you deserve to be commended. I know many people want to accuse us of favoritism. You are a police officer. You are not a prosecutor. You are not a lawyer. I mean, you are not a lawyer. You are not a magistrate. You are not a judge. A constitutional and a statutory obligation of a police officer is to investigate and arrest based on prima facie evidence. In this country, we have prosecutors who have taken dockets on the basis that they have prospects of success. And when those dockets go to court and get withdrawn, and some don't make it in court because some cases get dismissed and so on. That does not mean that they do not know their job. So your job as compared to a job of a prosecutor and a judge is very minimal. So you must never be demoralized when people accuse you for what you did on the basis that we have not been able, as this committee, to prove some of the things further. You did what you were supposed to do as a police officer, and subsequently, because of what you did, some explosive revelations have been made here before this committee. If it was not for what you did, the country would have not known the deep-seated rot in our justice cluster. Our country would have not known that Begicele, because it's an allegation that has not been challenged, received an amount of 500,000 from Matlala. Since that allegation was made, Begicele has never contested it. So it remains the only version that is at our disposal. If it was not for the bravery that you expressed, we would have not known the deep-seated rot and the shenanigans that are finding expression in IPIT, because the overwhelming evidence presented here shows that IPIT, to a greater extent, has been captured and has been criminalized. We would have not known the shenanigans that are happening at IDEC. We would have not known the extent at which the relationship between Mkhwanazi and Matlala, the extent at which their relationship impacted with the running of SAPS. So I'm saying for all those things because we shouldn't behave like here. You have a responsibility of being a police, a prosecutor, and a judge at the same time. You are a police officer. And on top of that, you are a human being. So if there are mistakes that you made during your press briefing, that cannot be used to characterize you as a dishonest person. That cannot be used to characterize you as a person who lacks credibility. You did what many people have been wanting to do, but because of fear for their jobs and for their lives, have not done. So this country must commend you for that. Because this country, or the justice cluster and the security cluster in particular, is highly compromised. And that has been expressed as evidence before this committee. So you must go to your home from this parliament. You must go to your family, knowing that you did the best for this country by what you did on the 6th of July.
Thank you, sir.
So I thought it's important, General, and I'm saying this without any fear of contradiction. Many things have been exposed here. All those things were not going to be exposed had you not taken upon your shoulders to go to the media briefing on the 6th of July, 2025. But I think when I ask you questions, I must start here, General. I know some people might think that by asking this question, I'm going beyond the confines of the terms of reference. I'm not, because within the terms of reference, there is a term of reference which says we must investigate the alleged infiltration and abuse of SAPS. I'm not quoting it verbatim, but it is within that context. Now, the question I want to ask you about is a question about a man, a businessman in KZN, a man called Kelvin Matibeli, who made serious allegations about you. I know that you took the matter to court, but I think the matter did not deal, the court did not deal with the merits. It only dealt with your application to interdict. So all the merits that, and the allegations that he raised when he spoke about you were not dealt with. And therefore, they have not been tested by any court of law, and they are not under any judicial scrutiny. The police are doing dirty work. They target, KZN police, they target certain individuals, and they pretend to be conducting investigations with an intention of killing those individuals. What is your reaction to that? How is your reaction? How do you react to that?
Honorable Member, Mr. Matibedi, I did not know him. He believed one of the business people in KZN like many others. But what I become aware is when I'm told about the things that the man is writing on Facebook, comments he makes about me as a person. But what is interesting on that is that he even includes the issues of Minister Mkhwanazi and what we are discussing here. And when I establish, inquired more, then I established that he's a person who's very close to the minister. So he made a lot of false allegations, and allegations of things that are coming from the media, amongst others. It's a given. There are people that are loyal to Mr. Mkhwanazi. The press briefing was in no way to make Minister Mkhwanazi as an evil, but it was a person that was an obstacle for the administration of justice, and we had to come out with that and make it clear. But the people that support him, like Motibedi, came out strongly and started throwing accusation around. So it's for that reason that I took it out of my own to challenge him. And he made use of the media, amongst others, to make those stories. Again, as I said about Minister Mkhwanazi, he's a person that's been fed the wrong information. The least the man can do is to stand up and say, I was told by so and so this information about you. Because me and him never met, but now I know his face, and I hope we'll meet very soon. We're in court now. And that was the first matter in court. We are following on that because they've not honored that court order. So we are continuing with the court process on it. Obviously, there are many other actions that are going to follow thereafter. Thanks to him for having come up and start making that noise, that we started getting to know a lot of things about him from his staff that have brought to attention. That's why there was a search in his properties in different provinces, because his staff are starting to share some irregularities that are happening in his space. Not because we wanted to do that. It is because of what he exposed himself, being influenced by the people that influenced him. The allegations that he made that involved taxi people, I would be happy if you were to mention which taxi person or company or family is talking about. But to my conclusion from after investigated about who is he associated to, because I did not know he's in a tax as well. I thought he's just a businessman that run tenders. Later I learned the dog is in the tax environment. In actual fact, the police arrested some of his security guards. I think about 2 of them, if I'm mistaken. But when they were arrested, those security guards were protecting one taxi boss in KZN from Inanda Taxi Association. He's a chairperson there. His surname is Getsemani. When that Getsemani was arrested after invasion of a site, a mine in KZN, the police responded. They were arrested. They were detained. His guards, his Matibeti's guards, were amongst the people that were arrested. So that what triggered Getsemani to start accusing the police on a lot of things. But I learned later that Getsemani has issues with other families in the taxi business in KZN, which is historically between them that dates back to, I don't know, 2013, somewhere about. So I then believe that that means Motipedi being very close to Getsemani, maybe because Getsemani has issues with another family. It perhaps Motipedi assume that I'm associated with the enemies of Getsemani. So that's my conclusion. But other than that, I have no issues. All the taxi people I engage with, I was there last weekend, Saturday, with another taxi companies before coming down here. I'm not associated with any of them. So whatever he made out there is not the truth.
Yeah, maybe I should have declared that I also know Mr. Kelvin Matibele from when I was a member of the ANC. So we used to be very close when I was still in the ANC. I think it's important that I declare that, but that is not my interest. My interest here is finding the truth. And I want to establish the basis for his allegations. Because he says, General, at some point, the police, I don't know whether it was the PKTT or the NIU, raided his house. They wanted to arrest him without a warrant or with a fake warrant. And he established later that the warrant was fake, was not authentic. Do you know that story?
Yeah, no, I do. I do. Perhaps let me, honorable member, from my assessment of Mr. Matibedi, and I believe that that's what I'm saying. If we're to sit with me here and he be honest, that he comes and blames me about things without even having engaged me in the past, someone fed him that information. That's why he went out public to do that. Mr. Matibedi, when his 2 guards are arrested, it is because Mr. Getsemani had engaged with the chief in KZN. That's why the chiefs sometimes get killed themselves, because they become part of these tenders and conflict within the business people. The chief has shares in a mine, but the chief authorizes Mr. Ketzeman in exchange of a Toyota Fortuner car that is given to the chief. The chief gives Ketzeman the right to take over the mine. He's a shareholder. He's not owning the mine. 10%, I'm told, that is controlling in that mine. But this Ketzeman goes to the mine, accompanied by guards. In this mine, he's not a wanted, he's trespassing. So he enters the mine and he says to them, I'm here to take over, I'm in charge of the mine. It's a quarry. Now, the people that are managing, one of the directors managing this mine, is contacted by the officials. And these officials contact him and say, hey, these people are coming here, they are carrying guns, and they are coming to take over the mine. This person then mobilizes the police, not Mkhwanazi, he phones the police. Police arrives, they arrest these people for trespassing. Matibedi's guards are there. That's where the first garage with the police comes from. Fast forward, an incident happened in December last year, allegedly, I'm told. An individual made contact with a senior police officer, a detective in KZN, and says, I am Colonel so-and-so from the Hawks in Gauteng. I'm investigating a case against Matibedi and I've got a warrant of arrest on Matibedi. Can you please help me secure this man while we are traveling down to Durban to come and take him? The police officer says, send me that warrant. And the warrant is emailed to a police officer. The police officer takes this warrant and give it to a captain to take the team and go to Matibedi's house. Remember, they're waiting for this detective to come down. And the verification of the legitimacy of the warrant is done separately. So the team arrives at the house of Matibedi. And when they get there, then they ask, where is Matibedi? The wife says he's not here. They say, no, we've got this warrant of arrest to come and arrest him. That's how he gets to know. They give the copy to the wife. That's how he gets to know the police are looking for him. And then the police communicate back, no, we don't find this person. And the police officer that sent them contacts the Hawks member, but he doesn't get the Hawks member. He may contact again, he doesn't get the Hawks member. So they continue verifying this warrant, they discover that this Hawks member doesn't exist. Then the police have returned. They didn't do anything in the house, but they delivered this to the family. So the police were acting, thinking that they are assisting their fellow colleagues from the Hawks. It later, fast forward, honorable member, discovered that that person who pretended to be the Hawks had used an email of the police in Eastern Cape to send that fake warrant. Date, stamp of the court and everything in it. And that person have defrauded many people, apparently is sitting in prison himself in Pretoria.
So when you say the police general, are you referring to the PKTT?
No. The honorable chair members, maybe let me repeat again. And I want you to always maybe help South Africans. A PKTT has always been made out of less than 200 members in KZN. 200. Their sole mandate is in black and white about cases of political killings and later traditional leadership. Anything outside that does not involve them. There is 19,000 police officers in KZN. 19,000. So it is the rest of the police that are doing the work in KZN and not PKTT.
So was it a specific unit or
the person who's contacted is a provincial head of one of the detective teams in KZN, in my office. He's the one who's contacted. Actually, the head of organized crime was contacted first, but he said, no, he doesn't have teams to go and assist. He referred it to his brigadier next door, and his brigadier then dispatched his team to go and help. These are brigadiers sitting at the provincial office. They are provincial heads of different units in the province. The PKTT is a team that sits somewhere else. They're not part of the management structure of KZN. They are just as an intervention for this.
Yeah, no, because the reason why I'm asking you further is because the impression that the allegations are giving is that there is a coordinated, concerted effort to deal with Mr. Matibedi. as your project. So it's like he is your project. You are dealing with him in pursuit of interest of certain individuals from whom you are taking orders from a taxi industry. That is the allegation that is being made against you. So have you ever ordered the police now within your official responsibility to go and raid Matibeli's residence?
No,
Within your official responsibility?
well, up until the most recent one, where there were search warrants on his property, that's when I was involved. Prior to that, no.
So what triggered the last one?
I've
General?
got thousands and thousands of complaints that came from the Mativeti staff that were sent to me. So I had to act on it. But it comes from different people who are, some of them in Durban, some of them in Gauteng, some of them in Limpopo. I did not know that Mativeti has got offices in all these places. This is the staff that used to work, and some of them are still working for Mativeti. So they are talking about fraudulent contracts. They are talking about murder cases. They are talking about all sorts of things. So it's many of them. As a result of that, I then had to engage with my colleagues on the other side. They said, I've got this in front of me. We have to investigate. Of course, we had to then make an application to the court to get an authority to search. Authority is granted. Another application to another court to search the premises. Authority is granted, and so forth. So the investigation that I was involved with is the one that's happening now. But prior to that, from my understanding, there were two raids in his premise, or not two raids, but two police visits. One was in his house in December, which was as a result of the fake, I can confirm it is a fake arrest, warrant of arrest. Well, he's got the legal recourse if he so wish to engage on. I can't stop him. He's got all the rights. But they were not sent by me. It was communication between that person in prison and the police officer, and they sent a team there. That is one side. The second one is happened, I think, was the 13th of February. I'm busy with the operation in Durban on that same day. On a Monday, I'm told that on a Friday, I sent a team to his house. I had no clue. When I started establishing who was there, I discovered that the people that were there were from the head office that came to do farm inspection at his premises. I didn't know about it. But he's the one I'm the one that is blaming. So that's why mine was, well, I couldn't just phone him and say, hey, sir, you barking at the wrong tree. I had to go to court.
So please remind me, General, the last raid, did it happen after you took each other to court? After you took him to court?
Yeah, the last one happened.
The last one.
Yeah, after.
So do you confirm that it was not a reiteration?
No, it's not. That's why I can show my phone the complaints that came to me for people I didn't even know. And why I would not just sit back and not act is when I see the team is going to fight me on this one, because I'm not going to declare some of the things that are part of the complaints that are there. Is that a tender is completed. In this tender, there are certificates, and these certificates must be commissioned. Now, when the person who commissions a document is sitting in Limpopo, he commissions a document, is taught how to commission a document as if he's a police officer.
Okay.
How to write a rank, how to put a personal number. The stamp belongs to a police station that he has never seen.
Yeah,
He's done this thing in the office. That's what I'm saying.
I think, General,
Is those type of complaints.
I think it's because it's still under investigation. I don't want to jeopardize your investigation.
All right.
I just wanted to get the gist of this altercation.
No. Yeah, well,
between-
prior to these recent searches that happened in all four provinces, I did not even know him.
Okay.
For that matter.
General, my observation and my conclusion about the National Commissioner, General Masemula, is that to a certain extent, he also abdicated his responsibility with regards to the disbandment of the PKTT. if I can use a silly language, I can say he also slept on duty because he was on leave. A decision is taken by the minister. When he comes back, he does not contest it. He implements the directives. He even goes to an extent of making a presentation in parliament about and they start to implement a plan, a post-disbandment plan. So don't you feel that as a matter of principle, the National Commissioner also is to be blamed for this? Because if he knows his constitutional powers, he should have not allowed that decision. He should have contested it right on the spot. He should have said, no, Minister, you do not have powers to do this. We're not going to implement this. So don't you think this is a fair criticism? I mean, me, if I was a national commissioner, I was not going to allow the minister to do what he did. I was going to tell him right in his face that, Minister, you don't have constitutional powers. I am the only person who's the accounting officer here with operational responsibilities. So the National Commissioner as well participated indirectly in violating the Constitution. What is your take on that?
Honorable Member, the National Commission and myself are different. His approach on things will not be the same as me, and I'm sure yourself as well. Someone will have asked me, why do you go out public and make these pronouncements that involves one of the things was spoken here, presiding officers or judiciary? Why didn't you complain through the structures that exist? And my response will be, the procedure of complaint is there, but it was going to take long, and I did not trust the process. That's why I felt it is important for me to approach it in this fashion. The National Commission might say, in my approach of things, I was going to get into the same outcome as Jerome Mkhwanazi, but coming in a different way. Yes, I was frustrated, I must tell you that. Because for me, I needed action and action done fast. That's why I took it out of my own to phone the minister in January and to also send him a message in April. Because I felt that I need to engage him directly. But that was not successful. So I've engaged National Commission numerous times, pleading with him to engage the minister and even take it to the president. But of course, he will come back and respond. He's a person that's different than me. I'm sure you've realized that. He's a bit of a calmer guy, which is different than me. So I cannot say what he neglected his work by doing what he did. He might have not agreed with the minister, but not wanting to go directly. Perhaps that's why the reduced way of closing down the team, which is a winding down approach and so forth. And I must say, Honorable Chair members, that the likelihood is that had the minister granted me an audience in January when I asked to meet him, and perhaps the minister convinced me that although it's not immediately, but we might want to get rid of this so that we can move it like this, perhaps I would have agreed with the minister, and if he had that opportunity to sit down with me, listen to me, and we engage and we agree on how we should go about it. But that opportunity was not granted. So for the National Commission, he had an opportunity to engage with the minister, how they engage with each other, how he was able to persuade the minister to say, let's not shut it down immediately, let's have a plan of closing it. I cannot say he was sleeping on duty.
Okay. You know, General, when you were making the explosive revelations that you made, the first thing that came into my mind is that was phakula news. I don't know if you understand that language in Zulu. More phakula news ziyaphuma zonke zize kuwena. So that is why you need to hide your face. And that thought came from the prevalent fundamental decay within our institutions. Ukuthi kubolile, corruption is everywhere. And we have seen good men and women in this country trying to expose corruption with no success. Some have been victimized. Some have been killed. Abanye today, baneyintandane. I mean, baneyingane ezingenawo ama-breadwinners because they stood on the side of principle. So, have you not become vulnerable since the revelations? Have you not been attacked? Has your family not been affected by this whole thing? How are you surviving? Because even people who don't know you, they know you now. Some are characterizing you as a rogue individual. Some are saying you are a killer. Some are battery inkabi, we poison inkabi, and so on. And I'm sure that affects your family as well. So, since the explosive revelations you made, how have you been surviving?
Yeah, well, I said before, and I will say it again, we all shall die, and nobody will live forever. It depends how you die as a person. I'm not much of a Christian. Christians tend to be afraid of dying a lot, and yet they pray. But I'm not necessarily worried about dying. If death gets me, it will get me. That's why I can still walk out here and play with explosives. That's why I can walk out here and do skydiving. That's why I can do, because anything can happen there, you can die. That's why I can still fly from one point to another, not being worried that the airplane will crash. So death will catch us all. But I must say, honorable member, that this action of the 6th, I took a conscious decision that I will stand for the truth, knowing that indeed my family is going to be affected. I can't easily walk around anymore with my children and enjoy sitting in a restaurant and having a meal because people come to you. You can't go and participate in any other place where normal human beings go to because people come to you. I'm the person that likes freedom. I don't like to be guarded all the time. That's why I've said, and I'm saying, those who might be planning something, they must move with speed if it happens.
Some are
Because if they
saying,
don't,
some are saying, General, you did all what you did because you wanted to secure your contract. You wanted to be reappointed. What is your take on that?
no, that is not true. It has never been. When I took the decision to go to KZN is because I thought I'll do my bit and I leave the organization. So the organization approached me in December and say, we want you to stay. And then I had my own condition. First, I had to go and discuss with the family because it was never my plan to stay longer. But understanding the situation that we were in, I had to engage with the family and say, this is the request that is offered by the police. What do we do? And we discussed, and I went back to the National Commission to engage on that one. Hence, I'm still waiting for the decision from the National Commission in that regard. So
Okay.
it's not me that applies. The law doesn't apply. Once you choose to become honorable chair members, I was sitting as a lieutenant general in the head office. And that employment was going to keep me there until I turned 60. But I voluntarily left that contract and I took a 5-year contract with not a single cent in addition. I moved, I relocated from Gauteng to KZN because I wanted to come home so I can contribute in the safety of the family around where I live. So that after 5 years when I retire, I can live in a peaceful environment. So me going to KZN had nothing to do with the money or the contract. It was voluntarily. It's unlike a person who applies for the post of being a provincial commissioner. He goes for interviews, he gets a contract, and when a contract is coming towards an end, he wants to extend the contract. For me, it was different. I was a general already at this level in Pretoria for many years already.
Okay. You see, when I was listening you talking about General Khan, I was asking myself if this committee has done justice to comprehensively investigate at length the allegations that you made. And I was saying maybe we missed an opportunity because the manner in which we have described the role of General Khan requires that he comes before this committee as a witness, but he was not called. The unfortunate part about this committee is that it is constituted by representatives of political parties. So it is not driven by principles of objectivity and impartiality to a certain extent. Some people become overprotective of their party interest. Some become overprotective of their personal interest. As a result, or ipso facto, they compromise principle and they do not arrive to issues that were supposed to arrive to. They just scratch the surface, and some don't want the truth to be exposed. Do you feel, General, as the main complainant, because the reason why you are the only witness who has been granted an opportunity to come back is because we regarded you as the main complainant. Do you think this committee has comprehensively ventilated and investigated these allegations? Or we've just scratched the surface? Besihamba nje la emoyeni. Asifikanga la ekufanele sifike khona. I'm asking this because we have not called any. I know that you said you don't have adequate evidence in relation to the judiciary, but it's open secret that the judiciary is not a paragon of virtue. They also have their smallanyana skeletons, but none of them has been called to come here. Do you think we've done justice as this committee? Leave the Madlanga, but this committee, which is structured the way it is structured politically.
Yeah, well, in as far as the work that the committee has done, I was hoping that the reason for the minister to come up with the letter of the 31st of December was going to be investigated. Not just simple us being called here to talk about it, but I'm talking about a forensic investigation done from his gadgets, where this letter was compiled, his communications between him and his staff, Vusi Piccoli that he made a reference to, that he shared this thing with, and those legal structures that are established to assist the minister, like the DG at Civilian Secretariat. So those are the things that I was hoping we're going to interrogate it thoroughly. And I feel they were not thoroughly interrogated. There are 3 items that the minister raised on his letter. And the majority of the time the committee spent was on the first one. The second part of it is just moving below the radar. The third part of it, which is border security, it's even more of a concern for me because that's a gateway for the bad things coming to the country. And I don't think the head of committee have done justice to establish exactly what's happening there. I hinted on some weaknesses in these areas, but I thought the committee was going to even do inspection in loco for that matter to test what we're saying. Whether really are we that open in our borders that things can just come in willy-nilly and without being checked. So those are the type of things I would have expected the committee to do. The time you were given maybe was not sufficient. Perhaps going forward, different structures, different committees, depending on the recommendation, will dig deeper, especially the portfolio committee on police, will dig deeper to find out what are the things beyond this committee.
Okay. Please bear with me when I cut you because there are questions that I would like to pose to you, and I'll be very flabbergasted if we finish without asking these questions. Evidence has been tendered here about the misuse of the so-called slush fund in the Secret Service account in crime intelligence. What is a systematic shortfall on how the slush funds are being run? Are there any gaps which are opening loopholes or which are opening a can of worms? And if there are systematic gaps which are attracting corruption to the Secret Service account, if they are, then how do we close them?
It's going to be difficult for me or a member to talk about a Secret Service account because I'm neither a member of crime intelligence nor understand exactly the details of how they do business there. But one of the things that I picked up from the complaints I learned from the Divisional Commissioner, the Gerald Kumalo, and something I've learned when I was the Acting National Commissioner as well, was that the abuse of the resources becomes easier simply because there are these clandestine people that have been used. So a member is going to claim money on behalf of, and then that claim is paid, but that payment might not land to the person that is supposed to receive because of that system that they have within crime intelligence. Because they have to do things covertly. But also what became a weakness at the time which Arukuma was trying to close was that it is one individual trusted in decision-making to pay. So we came with control measures of putting a committee in place. It was aimed at trying to put some controls. But to go deeper to discuss issues of the crime intelligence or any intelligence community on how they operate, I'm not empowered to do that. I don't have necessary credentials to be able to discuss it.
Okay. When you were here, General, I asked you about Minister Senzo Mkhunu. I think the question that I asked is, do you have evidence proving that he is linked to criminal syndicates and drug cartels? And I think you gave a very fair response there too, because you said there are matters that you are still investigating surrounding him, and you have identified some trust account and so on and so forth. Now, General, my perspective here at this stage, is that there is no adequate evidence that links him to criminal syndicates and drug cartels. Where we find him wrong is in relation to the decision that he took to disband the PKTT. It is my view, I can argue it for a couple of minutes, but because I don't have enough time, it is my view that he does not have constitutional powers, and neither does he has statutory powers to do what he did. But with regards to the other allegation, there is no adequate evidence proving it to be correct. What is your take?
I can't agree with you more, Honorable Member. I've said it before. I met the minister early in 2024, if I'm not mistaken, just before the elections. Elections come. The minister appoints chief of staff. It's a minister that I was introduced to as being the good man. So when a letter is written on the 31st of December, I feel I must reach out to the person that I was introduced to so that I can be able to warn him about the implication of this so that he can retract it. And I'm not granted the opportunity. So the events that follows thereafter, all the way up until I send him a WhatsApp pleading with him to meet so that I can be able to discuss this role of Mkhwanazi that has come to the picture and the Khan in them. The minister acknowledges that, but he still doesn't grant me that opportunity. And then other evidences that comes out, we then realize that minister was consciously aware about the intentions of the people that are rogue within the organization to shut down this team. To what extent did he know that they were going to shut down the team? For what purpose? I'm not sure whether we have the reason for that for now. This statement of someone that come from prison that seems to suggest certain things, and the witness E at the Matlanga Commission that recorded the minister when he was pleading with him to give a statement, and the presentation the minister made here regarding the work study investigation, amongst others, it made me conclude that the minister is protecting people. He's using justification that does not exist. CFO disputed, everyone else disputed what he presents here as the reason for the letter. So it then leaves me with one conclusion. He was assisting the CBS, who in turn are assisting the cartel squad. So when you are assisting in that fashion, you might not be directly involved, but directly you are allowing the criminality to take place. So that is my conclusion. That's why I kept on saying, if he was honest, he was going to say, I was influenced by so and so and so and so and so and so. And you can easily forgive him for that. but he's not being honest about that. He says he's an author. If he's an author, then he gets into the constitutional question. What gives you the powers? That's what the
Thank you,
problem is.
General. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
Honorable Shongwe.
Chair, can I give my chance to Boss Kosan? I really need to restructure my questions.
You have 25 minutes.
Sorry, Chair?
You have 25 minutes. The only time we have now is towards break. So we can't run for more than 25 minutes.
No, it's fine. We can continue then. Kwale Nkosi,
Inhlonipho.
ngiyaphila mphathi.
Siyaphila njani manje?
Hayi asibonga. Ndaba ezithi angiqale la waqala khona nawe owakwenza. Waya ebantwini emva kokuthi ubone ukuthi ikomiti lamaphoyisa lenzanga ngendlela efanele. Angiqale ngokuthi ngicele ebantwini base South Africa ndaba ezithi futhi thatha ithuba lokuthi ngibabongele ekubeni nesibindi esingaka. Thatha umndeni wakho, thatha ifreedom yakho uyifake kule nkinga engaka. Ngicabanga ukuthi nathi sibasha la eParliament sithole sikuleso simo leso sokuthi uma sidibana nezinto siyibuze ukuthi ngabe sizela isalary la eParliament noma sizela ukuzothi izwe lakithi ngalishintshe ngeinqumo esizithathayo. Ngithi angiyibongele kakhulu Nkwale Nkosi South Africa. Ngicabanga ukuthi uhleli lapha uyona ingelosi futhi awuyena umuntu owenze ukudlula abanye kahle. Kodwa okwenzile kuyisiqalo sokushintsha izwe lethu ukuze lithathe i-direction right. Siyabonga ndaba ezethu.
Ndibani.
Sibonga. Ngifuna ukuthi ngicele ke baba uMkhwanazi ukuthi iSouth Africa nama ngibuyele kuyo ngiyokhala kuyo. Ngoba sekunenginqumo engiyithathile nezinto engizenzile zisifaka enkingeni futhi ezifaka ukuphila kwethu engozini. Umehluko kweyiko lokuthi angigadiwe njengoba ugadiwe wena. Kodwa sizokujika sofela khona. Angicela ama-South Africans ukuthi akwenze ukuthi asi-assiste thina nawe namaphoyisa njengawo ukuthi ekugcineni siwathola amandla futhi asithume ekuthenini sitshintshe ama-policies nemithetho ekuvimbile ukuthi usheshe ufake abantu evenini. Ngoba ngibonile ukuthi kuyi-constitution somewhere la ivimba khona ukuthi la ngabe sowungenile uqedile kodwa kubuye kuchitha isikhathi kusibambezele. Ngiyakuthembisa ukuthi uma singathunya Kwale Nkosi abantu nabangalalelisisa kahle kahle sokwenza lokho. Ngoba uma sisuka la siyobhala i-report futhi siyobhala ama-recommendation to iParliament ukuthi lithathe inqumo. Angicele nje ama-South Africans ukuthi asibukelele. Kwale Nkosi igama elithi Pravin Gordhan, Johnson, Batoyi, McBride, Sullivan, Padiach, Khan, uSibiya, Mchunu, uJulius, uGeneral Fan, uSenthumule. Angilungise lapha kuJulius mhlambe kuzozwakala kabi uJulius Mkhwanazi. I'll fix the error. Bengizochubeka ngikhulume ngabo. Kodwa kwamanje nawo umbuzo wami. Kuthinte kumculi engimthanda kakhulu ndaba ezethu. uZingu Malo. In the big five, who is Zingu Malo?
What we know is that amongst the people that are within the big five, that there are many business people that are associated with them. There are many politicians that are associated with them, and some of them has been spoken about in public. But it does not necessarily make them to be the big five. I said earlier, in one of the farm in north of Pretoria, it became like another arm of government, where all these high-profile people, business, politicians, and everyone were accounting it. So for now, what we have on the record that Zin Ngumalo is one of the business people that are associated with the people, not to make him a big five, but because of his business interest that he had that involved some of the people, he ended up in that space, and he's not the only one. You will see a lot of photos, a lot of names of others. Does not necessarily mean that they are part of Big Five. They are associated with these people one way or another. It does not necessarily make them Big Five. So from the records that we have of Zin Ngumalo, he's, I think, one of the people that became closer through the taxi finance, if I'm not mistaken. He was facilitating people in South Africa to get funding for taxis. And the taxis were controlled, or the Santaco was controlled in that space. So that's why I think he lands in that space and his name is popping up all the time.
Ngibonge baba. Amaphoyisa njengalawa afuna ukuba njengawe abopha abantu kwangempela. Kodwa sovalweni ngoba uyacabanga ukuthi uma uzoba u-detective and uthola ukuthi uphethe information strong, kodwa uma uzoya phambili uyazi ukuthi le information izophuma ikhishwa yibona lamaphoyisa la ehlalweni eziphezulu. Siwasiza kanjani amaphoyisa anjalo ukuthi aqinise idolo nesibindi ukuthi aqhubeka aye phambili? Ngoba my concern is that amaphoyisa amaningi wabo aqoshiwe umsebenzi in general. Baqoshwe bafakwa ama-cases angekho, kuba nama-dismissals anga-understandeki, bese kuba nama-lawyers angenelela ukupressa labo bantu labo. Siwasiza kanjani amaphoyisa njengalawo ukuthi aqine idolo aye phambili?
Yeah, well, the reason why government came up with the labor laws in our country, yokuthi umthetho uvikela abasebenzi. The police officers are affiliated to unions. So if unions are strong in defending police officers against the abuse, I think that is going to go a long way to support them. That is on one side. But on the other side, channels must be opened. And the only place I think the channels for me can easily be opened is through Parliament, the Portfolio Committee on Police. Create a platform, an opportunity, or a section within that can allow police whistleblowers that want to talk about things that are wrong in the police, that they see, or things that makes them not be able to do their work. But it must be an organized structure in such a manner that is going to receive complaint and be able to investigate these complaints and find them to be legit and be able to then take necessary action. They can take action by making reference to IP to investigate such behaviors, reference to the IDEC to investigate such behaviors, or in many other structures. But if the individual committee members are going to be receiving calls from police officers and they don't investigate, you write a question in Parliament that goes in, is not a solution. The question in Parliament will not solve the problem of a police officer. So we as senior managers might be doing something wrong that the junior member is aware of, but is afraid, as we are saying, to speak out because it's going to be reprimanded. We're going to charge and discipline and dismiss. There must then be a platform, at least in a secured environment, which I think the Parliament might be one of the secured environment, where this police officer is able to depose of his challenges, because IPID is created for that purpose. But we've seen a number of cases that IPID has in their position where there's no traction in terms of investigation. I don't know the reason. We're hearing of the bad things that IPIDs are doing nowadays, which then creates a doubt about their capabilities. So Parliament must be then the place where one can cry. Presidents have created a complaint structure there, but a complaint comes in, they just dispatch to different departments. What I'm asking for, if we create a structure in Parliament, it mustn't be receiving dispatch. It must be receive, investigate, and then make a referral.
Maybe to follow up on that, as parliamentarians, in your view, what is it that we are not doing, Masenzi oversight, that we need to be doing?
I think that's a good question, Honorable Chair and members. the oversight role, well, I'm not in parliament, I'm not the lawmaker, so it might be difficult for me to criticize much what you do, but I see in how ordinary living government works. You will have debates about the subject, but that debate might just be a debate as a tick of a box. If a decision is taken, it stays. So same with the oversight. You might find something wrong in a department, but what are the legal things you do as an oversight body that holds an accounting officer accountable? Shouting and screaming is not a solution. You can bring a person and shout at them in a meeting, but it's not going to, they're going to leave here and go aeroplane and go away. How do you make sure that there is action taken? I don't think there's ever been, I'm not saying that you must start now, but perhaps it might be an opportune time. Provincial commissioners are appointed by the national commissioner in consultation with the executive in the province.